Alright, what's up everyone? We're here for episode 4, Digimortal. It's been a long time coming. Even Dan's wallpaper is representing the album. Because it's blue. I was gonna say you're colourblind, aren't you? So you're probably like, what?
No, I could get away with blue. I'm alright with blue.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I actually only just noticed that. I was like, oh, he's got that blue background, and I was like, that's not even intentional, is it?
No, red or green. If you look carefully, the album's hiding somewhere. It's not, but
Yeah.
just look.
I tell you what, that's actually a good segue into the album art, because I feel like that's just a good place to start as usual. But here's a hot take, right? Well, it might not be. I don't know. I actually prefer the special edition artwork, which I think is the one that you've got there. You were showing me the signed one. That's got the bonus tracks, isn't it?
No, not this one.
Oh, okay.
So this one has the main album, if you will, but because it was a promo album, it's only got the main tracks on, unfortunately.
Wait, so if it was the promo album, was that like before release then?
I believe so. It's dated 2001, but I do think it was probably circulated prior to, because it does say release date on the back, April 24th, 2001.
That's interesting, because it looks more like, I mean, it might be through the webcam, it looks different, but that looks more like the one they used for... No, that is I'm sure that's the one they used for the special edition, because if you look at the standard version, it's way more like kind of washed out.
Darker.
And I mean, I don't know, I quite like the blue one. It's just so like, it's like electric blue kind of looking, and I always quite like that.
I like the design. I mean, I like how it's sort of like a computer chip on a motherboard. That's something that's really cool, because I'm a big gamer, as you know, and one thing I kind of do before I go to bed sometimes, if I'm bored, I'll watch people restore and do things with consoles, and you see all these chips and stuff, and I just keep thinking, Digimortal.
Yeah, for sure. I watched that New Breed TV episode where they I don't know how they even got it, but they had all the layers, and they were like in Photoshop, like clicking all the layers on and off, so you could see how they kind of like made it, and it was quite interesting actually.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch much New Breed, unfortunately, recently. I've just been that busy, but I did see
this was
someone
an old
posted
episode
in the New Breed group.
Yeah.
Oh, is it an old one?
Yeah.
I did see not too long ago that someone put... Was it the person who actually did the artwork posted in the group and said, these are the 4 designs I did, or am I going crazy?
Oh man, that sounds so familiar actually.
I do remember seeing them, because I remember thinking to myself, one of them, I'm not even sure if I'd have put that into contemplation, because it was so different.
Yeah, I think I did see some alternative covers. Yeah. Mm.
It's quite. I think it really it kind of reflects how vibrant the album is. I'd say it's definitely the most positive sounding, brightest, sort of. I don't know how you can describe it other than that, actually, but it's a very bright sound for Fear Factory. Like it, even though it's using the low tuning, it doesn't feel like it. The samples are more high pitched.
Bright is a good term, really. It's interesting that all the albums to this point, they all of them, they do sound very Fear Factory, but they have different shade in a way. Like the first one's that it's very gritty, it's more raw, more industrial, and then Demanufacture's very precise, isn't it? And a colder feeling, and then Obsolete feels a lot warmer again, and then this just feels very it feels brighter and more. I mean, you can move it. Well, I'm getting sidetracked now. I was just gonna say before I go into that, I said the artwork. I didn't really used to like it, but I think it's kind of grown on me. Like when I looked at it, bigger picture, closer up, and you see the detail into it. Before I was like, oh, it looks like a men's toilet sign.
But I can kind of see where you're coming from, yeah.
But the more I looked at it, I was like, oh, no, this is actually really cool. I like what they did with it, and I was saying, this one's a lot brighter, and also moving towards the production side of it, it's very digital sounding, isn't it? Coming off the back of the last 3 albums, It really just feels like,
Yeah.
oh, we've hit the 2000s now, everything's changing again.
I seem to remember Burton said that it was the first album that they used Pro Tools to record. And I mean, I know it's quite a strange metaphor or a strange comparison to make, but it almost reminds me of like Risk by Megadeth, because it's like, I know, and this is the controversial thing, I know Risk didn't go down well with Megadeth's fan base. It were a bit like their Transgression, weren't it, at the time?
Yeah.
And then it grew on people in recent years, but it was brighter, it was accessible, it was one of those that if you thought to yourself, I want to introduce someone to Megadeth, but they don't really listen to metal. Same sort of thing with Fear Factory. Like, I want to introduce them to Fear Factory, but I'm not really sure they like, the heavier side of the sound. You look for that sort of that bright sound, don't you? Something you can vibe to a little bit more, like Linchpin and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see it. In a sense, is that sort of accessibility to it. It sounds like Fear Factory, and yet it sounds like it's just in a more upbeat direction than a lot of the other stuff that they do. I don't want to say pop. I don't think pop is the right word, but
No.
I think you could get away from saying it's. If I said softer, I don't mean it as in like this is a blues album or a jazz album or something like that. But you stack it next to Mechanized, for example.
Yeah.
It's not quite as heavy, even Obsolete, I'd argue, or Demanufacture. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because it's still a great album. There's still great songs.
Yeah, I think again it's the production as well, isn't it? Because I linked you that video the other day, and I'm like the songs are like they come across very heavy live, like not so much like the I know what you mean, like the choruses and stuff are very like even live they feel uplifting and
Catchy,
stuff, but the
rhythmic.
heavy parts
Yeah.
live were like this is heavy as shit still. So I think it's the production that kind of makes it a bit easier on the ears in a way.
And again, I think it's something that Burton said especially the idea of it sort of being overproduced, going through so many people and having to be signed off by so many people and things like that. I know he said that the demos were a lot heavier, and I think that's the version of the album that he prefers.
Yeah.
But I mean, the final album was exactly that, a great album. I mean, maybe it wasn't quite what they were hoping for at Roadrunner, because they had so many successful acts under him that were selling, millions of records, but it's still an absolutely fantastic record. I feel like this was the time where they were trying to be, the powers that be were like, we know you're successful and we know you make great music, but we kind of feel that we need to put you in this little box called nu metal, because that's selling, that's the big thing. And the fact that you don't kind of fit in a box, because are you industrial, are you groove, are you death metal, are you grind, I think it came to that point where it was like, I think business heads contributed to the final sound of the album more than the artist.
Yeah, I mean, the producers and stuff must have seen that, and the label and that, like bands like Linkin Park literally like blew up overnight, didn't they? Like the year before. So I know they were sending in producers to like work with them, and Dino was basically not having any of it, like because they were like, I imagine if they just let whoever control it, it would have been so much worse. Like then it would have been like probably pop territory.
It might have been your
it's amazing to
Transgression.
think like it's as catchy and accessible as it is, and that's with Dino like filtering out as many producers as possible by the sounds of it. But the guy they got in the end actually sounded like awesome, because he would sort of like let them do their thing and then be like, well, have you thought about changing this bit or rearranging it? Not necessarily like, no, take that out completely. I remember he said on Linchpin specifically that it gets to the chorus very quickly. So originally one of the verses was like twice as long, so it and then by shortening it just makes it a little bit more, even more catchy, more accessible, because you've gone straight into that melodic singing section. Because some people attention span, you might be like, no, this isn't for me, this is too heavy. But by the time this is like, I don't know how long it takes to get to that bit, but it's probably like 30 seconds in, you're already in the chorus. So
it was something that I remember seeing in an interview or a magazine or something like that where it did say, we don't believe in these 7-8 minute songs if we can say what we need to say in 4. And I think you can see it because there isn't a song that sort of overstays its welcome on the album, I'd argue. They're all pretty much timed the right way. The fact that I love the album means I could probably listen to longer versions of the song, but at the same time, I'm happy to just stick this on repeat and let it play.
Maybe that's almost better. It's like you get more replay value out of it in a way, because then the songs are shorter, but then you're more like, oh, I want to put it on again. I find it's an easy Fear Factory album to be like, I'll just put that one on, and not like if I'm driving around or something, I put it on earlier. I was like, I don't need to think too hard. I'll just put that on, and I know I'll enjoy it like straight away. It's not like it's one that I wouldn't even mind like pausing and going back. Like in my job at the minute, it's like I have to pause the music a lot, and I don't mind so much with this one. I mean, it's never ideal, is it? But I feel like it's one of those albums I can pop on and hop off a lot easier than, say, I put on like one of the concept albums or something. I feel like I just want to like listen to that non-stop if I can.
It was an album that I remember listening to quite a lot with Hybrid Theory, and that was at the time, as you say, Linkin Park kind of came up from nothing, and overnight they were rock stars, a bit like Limp Bizkit and a few others who kind of, before you knew it, the hits were coming and they were so huge it were like, Jesus, slow down. But it was definitely an album that I got a listening to out of back in the day. It's strange that for the fact that it has Linchpin on it, which is probably one of the biggest standout Fear Factory songs. I don't know if I'm right in saying it, whether it is the more successful single they've done, I'm not sure, but I remember reading at some point that was the case. I don't feel like people talk about it as much as the other albums, not because it's a bad album, just because it's so accessible. It kind of makes it difficult to pick out something truly exceptional, and I mean that's the same on any artist, any album. Like going back to Hybrid Theory, fantastic album, I can listen to it all the way through, but Pushing Me Away is not the caliber of the rest of the songs on the album, I personally think, and that's why it's the last song on the album. It doesn't kind of go out with a bang. You've had the bang all the way through, now it's time for the come down, if you will. And I think that's what was said about the songs on the special edition version. I'm absolutely sure I remember reading something along the lines of they struggled to decide what the first song on the album was going to be, but then I believe there was some difficulty in choosing what was going to be bonus tracks, because they all they were all pretty good, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah, I think it's the last song. Is it Full Metal Contact? Parts of that song are in. I can't even remember which parts now, but parts of it are integrated into, I think, What Will Become, the first track, and then also fuck me, is it? I think it's Hurt Conveyor maybe, or it's one near the end. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the same riff, but you have to really like listen for it. But it's cool that they kind of kept it in there, so it was all like the scratch ideas were there. It's actually pretty good as well. We'll get to it at the end, but I think it's a good instrumental as well. Sort of stands on its own, but we'll finish on that one. Yeah.
I mean, the original album, I say original, the standard release, shall we say, I'll say it properly, that ended with Memory Imprints, didn't it? And I think, again, it kind of, you can tell it were a brighter and more upbeat album, because even though the ending of Demanufacture was pretty cold and pretty harsh and pretty sudden, which I guess you could say was the same of Aggression Continuum and probably Soul of a New Machine. But when you're going into like Resurrection to Timelessness, Human Shields, and like Enhanced Reality, Final Exit, Expiration Date, they've all got almost like an emotional tone to them. It's like you've had that high, you've been on that roller coaster, and now you're coming down, and you just sort of like, it puts you in a pensive mood. Like you finished the album and you feel like you've finished an experience, whether it's like a meal or a film or something like that. I feel I've gone full circle. Whereas with this, I can literally just let it start again, because Memory Imprints is still a relatively upbeat song.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. It still feels like the closing track to me. But I've got so used to
Yeah,
hearing the bonus tracks after it, which is kind of weird. And I think if it was up to me, I'd probably integrate some of those bonus tracks into the album, and maybe drop a couple of the other main tracks. Well, not drop, but have them as bonus tracks instead.
I'd have put them all in. I mean, that's the difficulty, isn't it? I mean, you start with what will become, you finish with Memory Imprints or Never End, isn't it? And that kind of feels like, as you say, that's the end of the cycle. You start again, but you don't feel like you've had that sort of pensive, reflective moment and that emotional song. You just kind of go, ah.
Do you think
Right, let's go again.
Do you think it's because the bonus tracks are so good that, I mean, for me, I'll never skip them. It's like I have to listen to them as well. Whereas on some albums, there might not be a bonus track, and that's just the end of the album, or it just feels like, oh, I don't need to listen to that. Like on Obsolete, you wouldn't have to put on Cars afterwards if you didn't want to. You might just, I'd often just finish it on Timelessness because that's what feels right, and then listen to Cars like as a single or something. But with this album, because the bonus tracks are literally so solid, I won't skip them. But I haven't bothered yet to like integrate them into like my own playlist. So yeah,
it makes me think back to what we said in the first episode about Soul of a New Machine and sort of like the bonus tracks or after the end point. It just got a bit like, yeah, I can see why this didn't make the standard release. It's nice to hear it. It's lovely to have more Fear Factory, but at the same time, like, if you'd have put that in over something like Crash Test, Life Blind, or Scum Grief, or my favourite song, Big God Rape Souls from that album, then I'd have been pretty much like, really? You felt that was the right choice, but you can't say that with this. And I know that the guys over at New Breed, for example, is it C-Bomb whose favourite song is Strain versus Resistance?
No, it's Max's favorite.
Max, yeah. And I get it. It's a really good song, and I know they had that interview with Dino and he was like, oh, come on, that's a bit obscure, isn't it? And it's like, but this is the thing, like, your hardcore Fear Factory fans, they love these special bonus tracks on this album because they feel like a part of the standard release. They don't feel like, a bit of something that maybe it was finished, but we were like, do we put this on? Do we not put it on? Is it going to be a B-side? Like, it feels like an extension of the album. I could literally put Memory Imprints at the end of all of them and still be perfectly happy with that album, and then maybe ask for some more bonus tracks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think the only thing now, but it's more like a psychological thing, because like I mentioned this to you the other day, I never realized those bonus tracks don't have any synths in them, and I was like, what? But then, because I'd listened to the album like hundreds of times and never noticed, so that kind of makes me think, well, that means nothing's really missing. But now I think about it, that's what separates them a little bit from the rest of the album, because the album's very electronic, and those songs don't have it. So I think they come across maybe even a little bit heavy, a little bit more raw at times because of that reason.
Just
it's
missing
guitars
that
and drums,
final
and
touch.
vocals, bass.
Yeah.
But I think if they added the electric that's added in, it would just fit flawlessly with the rest of the album as well. But having said that, like, you look at like Demanufacture, there's songs on there that have no keys at all. So it's not really like every song needs to have it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think in some cases just a couple of maybe like samples or mechanical noises does the trick.
Yeah, actually those bonus tracks have quite a lot of that. Like Dino's doing some weird shit on the guitar, like I don't know, like pedals and stuff, I guess he's using. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, what were I listening to the other day? I think it was Freedom or Fire, and I stopped and thought, that's a pinch harmonic. I thought they don't often do that, So it kind of sticks out to you. But I'll just quickly read this off the back of this, if you like, because this is relatively interesting. It says, Fear Factory's 10 years of evolution has brought their art to a whole new level, making their newest creation, Digimortal, one of 2001's most anticipated albums. Hardcore Fear Factory fans will not be disappointed in Digimortal. The album is streamlined without losing its edge. These concise songs, almost all under 4 minutes, using more melodic guitar riffs than ever before, are held together by the conceptual thread that has been present from their inception, the impending collision of man and machine. The brainstorming process that fleshed out the conceptual basis for Digimortal was a true collaborative effort. The band, who have been through a lot in their 10 years together, were truly up to the task. And then in quotes it says, "It's like a marriage, the open communication and putting our personal shit aside. We realised that the music was what was important," says Bell. And again in quotes it says, "When we came up with the concept, the music, we had cardboard up on the wall, writing down different ideas as Cazares. The band refined the songs by re-recording each track multiple times, making the parts flow together rather than forcing them to fit." And then finally it says, "Beginning with Soul of a New Machine and continuing through Demanufacture and Obsolete, Fear Factory has taken listeners on an evolution of sound unlike any other band. As they lead us into the new millennium, they continue to explore and define the relationship between man and machine through their music and their lyrics. Digimortal is the final result of that exploration. It rips and tears through 11 tracks of such intensity that they are impossible to ignore, making Fear Factory the first of the new breed." That screams to me like the producers were like, "Boys, we've got an idea." It really does.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely agree with what they were saying about Dino, like tapping more into that melodic side. Like, I feel like he opened the doors with that, with like Descent and Resurrection. You could hear like a bit more melody coming through on the guitar, especially underneath the choruses, rather than just chugging through it. There's those like open chords with like really nice effects, and like, you get a lot more of that on this album. And it's actually like it shows off another side of him. Like it's completely different from the normal like riffing. You just got like these really nice like open chords that they just really sound like him in a way. I know there's a lot of other bands around the time doing a lot of that kind of like clean open string kind of thing, but I feel like the way he did it, at least up till now, I'd say he's got his own sort of like signature with it, I guess is the right word. But
yeah, and I think this album's an interesting sort of almost like trope throughout, if you will, that like every song almost has like a hook, like what will become, what will it be? Like every song's got that sort of thing, like acres of skin.
Yeah, even the ones without clean vocals still have the hook. So I think you're right there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be that one guy who's going, you've got to back the fuck up.
That's it.
I think that pretty neatly takes us into the actual songs themselves. There, yeah. I'm not sure if you got any more thoughts.
I think I did, but I've forgotten. It was something I was saying about Dino, the open strings. No, I don't know. I can't think now. But yeah, let's just get into the track by track, I reckon. I'm actually going to bring up the track listing. I don't want to mess up the order again and embarrass myself. I could probably guess it, but I'm not going to risk it. Yeah, What Will Become is... I mean, I do love that intro. I think they, like I've said before, every intro song they've got on every album just is amazing, really. And it's no exception, is it, on this one? Like, I love the tension. Like, it's not a very long intro before, like, all the instruments come in, but you've got that kind of, like, tension building already, a bit like they did with Shock, I guess.
I mean, I like how it plays out live, especially with the quiet sort of down, and then that boom, and the way that the lights.
There's like a bass kind of thing, isn't there?
Yeah, and then just that become like jump now.
Yeah,
please.
I love how it starts with like with the vocals, like it all comes in like at once, and it's just like holy shit. There's a proper like wall of sound thrown right at you. Like.
It reminded me of when I used to, because I'm quite a big fan of Static X as well. I went to see him a couple of years ago. They toured in the UK with Soil, Wednesday 13 and Dope, and they kind of had this energy about the songs where it were like, jump up and down, and the band are jumping, we're jumping. It's a little bit different to that kind of moshing sort of bang your head. It's still that sort of positive feel good thing, but you're just jumping up and down like, what will become, what will it be,
it's crazy how bouncy that song is. Yeah, it's like got double bass all over it, and I think this is what I've heard Dino saying before is like they were trying songs like even from Obsolete where there's no double bass at all, but then they also experimented with keeping it in as well. And then on this album, but starting it, like you've got that the drums are very like just very Fear Factory style, but then the riff is like like it's really different. So I don't know, it kind of just gels together nicely. And I feel like other bands were like not really doing that. The drums were more like just grooving, weren't they? Like with the riff. But on this one, it's just like machine guns going off still in the background.
And the chugging as well. Like one of the songs I've been playing on bass quite a bit recently is Zero Signal, and it is an endurance test of triplets, and you've really got to, and very quickly your whole arm starts to ache at the top. The bit inside your thumb there aches, and you're pushing yourself through it. I'm still not there, but then when I think how fast Dino's doing that, like geez, that's yeah. It doesn't sound that difficult, but trust me, when you've got to do that many triplets and gallop like that, it's tough. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like just refining that technique so you can maintain that stamina. Obviously, you need good stamina, but the technique is what allows you to just do that for like ages, I guess. But it's not easy.
Well, that's it. It's the speed and it's the precision, isn't it? And even though it's as we say, a more accessible album, it's not quite as it is more streamlined, it is more upbeat and positive and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's any less technical to play.
No.
And that's something I appreciate about it as well. Like a lot of different riffs throughout the album have got quite a quick, like a very like machine gun like picking pattern. And I don't think it's something that you notice as much. 'Cause like you say, it's because it's got that brighter sound. You're not focusing on that as much as the overall feel of it, if that makes sense. Like you're listening to it and you're feeling that energy that's coming, but you're not really thinking to yourself like, "God damn, his arm must be killing."
Yeah, I just think that this album, like throughout, it's so vocally focused as well. Like I feel like the more you listen to it, the more you get into the instruments and hear more about it's like the I was saying to you about listening to the instrumental versions again, because it's like you don't even appreciate what's going on with those electronics and stuff in the background, but it's because every song is so vocally focused, because obviously that's how you make songs more accessible, isn't it, really? Like making the vocals a focus is generally the best way to do it, especially for people who don't play instruments themselves. Because I remember before I picked up a guitar, I'd hear music differently. I don't know if you were the same, or a bass for you, I know, but maybe it was the similar thing for you. But
I think the way that I listen to music has changed throughout the years, for sure. I think one thing that I'd often said to my fiance before she sort of, I don't want to say converted to liking Fear Factory, but she sort of opened her mind to it a bit more, is like, I said to her, you've got to kind of learn how to listen to certain styles of music. You've got to know what you're looking for, like for a small period of time when Aggression Continuum came out, I was just flipping between that and Meshuggah, and she were listening to something like Bleed and something like Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, and she's like, I don't know, and it's like, no, you've got to listen to the beat. You've got to listen to the beat. You've got to find it. If you listen to the drums, and then you'll notice how the guitar works in tandem with that. You listen to the lyrics and such, and once you've got that sort of broader perspective, then you hear it differently. So I can definitely see where you come from. I think one thing as well that I quite like about What Will Become is that sort of breakdown in the middle as well. That da 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 da, and then it goes quiet for a moment with that sort of signature chorus ring, ding 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 ding, and then comes back in with the da 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 da.
Yeah, I think like I like how Burton does like the "What Will Become," like just like really kind of like
Yeah.
subtle
What
vocals,
will it be?
and then just comes in like
Almost like a
roaring his
whisper.
vocals. Yeah, I tell you what, the first thing you notice on this album is though his vocal delivery is very different on this album. Like I can't really explain it. It's almost the vocals sound much clearer, even though they're heavy. I don't even know how he's doing it. I know there's more production involved, but I still think his delivery was different. Like literally straight into the mic. I'm
Yeah.
sure he was doing it differently than whatever he did on the last couple of albums.
I think he was projecting a bit more soul, whereas I find with Soul of a New Machine demanufactured, it needed that anger behind it
Mm.
to really bring out the soul of that album and the song and stuff like that, and really portray that emotion of hatred. Um, Maybe a bit less so with Obsolete, because I find that was a bit more political. And like you say, something like Descent, you didn't need that when you go, how do you
Well, I think on
descend?
Obsolete especially, he was tailoring his voice around the lyrics and like at what point that was in the story. He's going to sound way more pissed off when it's like, I don't know, like Edge Crusher, like you said, because of like what's happening in the story. But then Descent, it's supposed to be more of like a low point, so the vocals kind of represent that. And I suppose what you're saying on Digimortal is that it doesn't require as much aggressive aggression.
Yeah, it's more consistent throughout, isn't it? It's like he's not portraying anger, he's not portraying an emotion, he's just projecting voice.
Yeah.
I know prior to Milo joining the band and Burton leaving, a lot of people kind of summed it up as like, if Burton is the voice of the machine, then Dino is the body of the machine, kind of thing. Like when put together, they sort of work in tandem.
Yeah.
Whereas for this album, I don't think he ever really did anything maybe that challenged him too much. I mean, I know that he said that there was a bit of auto-tuning going on with Lynch Pink, because there was a couple of notes that he couldn't reach.
I know
but
it's the same thing on the title track, because it's like it goes really high on the chorus, and it was that same kind of thing. It's like it wasn't really in his range, but obviously the producers were like pushing, like, no, we need to make something like this. And I do love the way it sounds, but yeah, it's a shame in a way that it's like it wasn't really tailored to his voice.
I mean, I'd have loved to hear what the demo sounded like prior to the producers and everyone in the background getting their hands on them. I mean, there was a thing a couple of weeks ago, weren't there, where the instrumental versions of these tracks made their way into the public domain. And I think some of the songs had like demo titles and stuff, and you can hear a little bit of difference, but I mean, you can still tell that from pretty early on, these songs were being over produced. They were trying to make them too perfect. Very much, and again, I feel like this was Roadrunner thinking, new metal is the thing. We need to pretty concretely put Fear Factory somewhere, and we know that we're selling hand over fist with bands like, well, I don't want to say Linkin Park, I don't know if they were with Roadrunner, but maybe they were looking at their sales, for example, and saying, this is the thing that's selling, because the producers, as much as they care about the music, to an extent, if it sells, that's inevitably what they're looking at, isn't it? They're looking at that dollar, that final sale of like, what can we do with this? How can we make more money? And if it's a case of, you take a band that's pretty raw and heavy like Fear Factory and make it more accessible, then it does broaden that install base. But it's like, what do you sacrifice? I think in the case of Digimortal, I wouldn't say there's a great sacrifice. It just sounds a bit almost processed, if you will. And that's not a bad thing. I like the clarity, and I like the fact that it's very clear. I like the fact that, everything's so well timed, and it is quite, the quality of the sound is fantastic, but I still have that little itch that makes me think, but what did they want it to sound like? Like we love What Will Become for being such a bouncy song, but what if the original vision was a much heavier, almost like assault on the ears, because that's what they said about songs like Enhanced Reality, for example. When I asked Burton about that, he said the original version of Enhanced Reality was so different, it was incredibly heavy. He said, and then one day he just had this idea and went, what do you think of this? And they were like, fuck it, let's give it a go. But this is kind of the opposite of that. This is like, right, what's that meme where they're like, it's good?
Oh, the Top Gear one. It's the Top Gear one.
He's in bloody everything these days, isn't he? What's he called?
Jeremy Clark?
Mandalorian.
Oh, you're thinking that?
Oh. I can't think of his name offhand, that's terrible, isn't it? But he's in some sort of film, and there's just a meme of him going, it's good, but it could be better. And it's like, no, I feel like sometimes you need to leave it alone. But in this case, it was still a fantastic end result. It's a great opening track.
There's a few
I'm not really sure I'd have changed it.
No, I don't think I would, this track. I think it's great, it is. And, the vocals are different, but I feel like it just kind of suits the music. Like, there's more clarity to it, but there's also more clarity in everything. So I think, like, it just makes sense. Like, if he was doing his usual, like, way harsher vocal over that, I think it wouldn't match up properly. So I do think they made the right call on it. And there's a few albums in their whole discography that I feel like I really enjoy them in the context of 10 albums. Actually, I really like that Digimortal has this different sound altogether. Same with like Soul of a New Machine. Like, they stand out in a nice 10 album discography. That's the thing. Right? You wouldn't want 10 albums that sound like Soul of a New Machine. You wouldn't want 10 that sound like Digimortal. But the point is that you've got these different parts, and that's what makes the discography so nice to go through, because you just get it's such a huge difference from like the first album. Imagine like they went from the first album into this, you'd be like, what? But it needed Demanufacture and Obsolete between them to get there, I think.
I think it's a peak of accessibility, isn't it? Like you say, it's definitely a different sound. It's still Fear Factory, but it's something that perhaps a wider group of people could appreciate. Like I could imagine somebody who liked Linkin Park, for example. I know I keep falling back on them, but I mean, they were just one of the more successful bands at the time. Someone who might be into a Disturbed or a Korn, a Slipknot, being into Digimortal, but I think it might have taken a more specific mind to be into Soul of a New Machine. Probably less so, but Demanufacture to an extent.
Yeah,
just because it's a different kind of sound.
If you think back then when this came out, the 4 albums you had available was this one, and obviously Soul, Demanufacture, Obsolete. So you'd listen to this, then you probably listen to Obsolete, then Demanufacture. You'd go backwards, and it would actually help you get into those.
Get heavier in tone.
Yeah, it would actually help you get into the rest of their catalogue in a way, which maybe was part of the plan. I don't really know, but I think that would make sense to me, at least. I know I've heard a lot of people say this band was like a gateway for them into like heavier music, so it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, and I think some bands always have to have that accessible album. I mean, sort of touching upon the Megadeth example again, it's almost like you can't possibly reach a bigger audience. You've reached everyone you're going to reach. So what are you going to do? Well, I think was it the guitarist? I can't remember specifically who it were, but one of the band members were like, I don't want to do thrash anymore. There's nothing else we can do in this space. We've done it. We're up there with the best of the best. We are the pioneers. We need to do something different now. How do we broaden our fan base? Well, we make Risk, which again, unfortunately, was a bit like their transgression. But the point I'm trying to make is it was a brighter album. It was more accessible. There wasn't anything on there like Holy Wars or Peace Sells or Good Morning Black Friday, anything that were a bit dark. And it was something that the average person, like, I could give it to my mum. I could give this album to my dad, and I don't think he'd be, because he doesn't listen to metal, but he's got a bit of an inkling through like Black Sabbath, bands like that, Judas Priest and Maiden and such. You know, I don't think he'd listen to this and think it were too outlandish. If I put Big God Rape Souls on for him, he'd probably look at me like I'm special.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and
Just because he
maybe
doesn't know how to listen to that kind of music.
I'm surprised they didn't blow up more from this album in a way. But I think Dino also said like new metal, even in 2001, it was like almost on its way out already. Like it came and went so quickly that
Yeah, they had that Road Running
United
thing, didn't they, that Dino were a part of.
Yeah, they kind of missed the boat almost. I reckon if it came out a year earlier, maybe it would have been a different story. I don't know, but
I mean, it's weird as well because I didn't really sort of get the whole new metal thing until like 2001, 2002 anyway, and then it sort of played throughout my teenage years. I mean, a couple of albums that I remember very much were Digimortal, and Archetype. That was a big one for me. Subliminal Verses was quite a big one. 10,000 Fists, See You on the Other Side by Korn. Meteora,
there was still some amazing
and Hybrid Theory.
There's still some amazing albums coming out, like after that. But I get what he means. It started to. I think it got oversaturated.
Yeah,
it got oversaturated very quickly because loads of people were jumping on board.
There's a lot of one-hit wonders, isn't there? Like, I have an awful habit of this. I find bands years after they've disbanded and fall in love with them, and I'm sat there like, oh, this is so heartbreaking. I don't know what it was, but I just let YouTube run once, and it played a song called "Cold" by a band called Crossfade, and I was like, this is really addictive, and I must have listened to it to like a week till I knew it perfectly, and I was like, let's look into this band a bit more, and you're reading and you're like, oh great, they haven't done anything in years, and then allegedly they've broken up with the promise of keep coming back. But it's like Edema, you know, they were another one that I can think of. Spineshank with New Disease. Wait, was Spineshank who did New Disease? Yeah, Cold Chamber with Loco, Drowning Pool. You know, there's so many where I can name one big song, but I can't tell you anything else.
It's funny, isn't it? There's something about this for me. New metal is like it's very playlist worthy. I did like a party. I think it was for my was it my no? I don't think it wasn't my 30th. It was like one of my 20s birthday, and I made a playlist with all music videos, and it was all the like the new metal hits, and I was like really enjoyed it. I don't know, they go so well in the playlist because it's funny because a lot of music I'm like, no, I need to listen to the album, but a lot of those songs, they just go so nicely together. I think it comes from like the whole MTV thing, wasn't it, where that's how it was being delivered to you, all the hits, like, you know, music video after music video.
Yeah, and you could never really do that with Fear Factory. I think I had to have the album. Like, I think back to, you know, an example of two bands I was speaking about today with a really close friend was 96 Quite Bitter Beings by CKY and Last Resort by Papa Roach. And it's like, I like the songs, but they didn't kind of convince me to go out and get the album because I didn't feel like there was going to be anything on there that would give me as much satisfaction as those songs. You know, that's for right or for wrong. That's just my particular taste in music, you know. If
Fear Factory does have one, it would be Linchpin, right? I think that song definitely has a single.
Exactly.
It has a single vibe, and it's got the music video. It sort of stands on its own. But like you said, from all the other albums, it's hard to just pick one. Like even Replica, it's like, nah, you need to hear the whole album. Like as much as it is a single as well, it's just, I don't know. I feel like you need the context of the other song.
Certainly our streaming services are censoring language these days, like, you know, I am rape, I am hate, and that particular word now, you know, I watch videos, my fiance watches like murder mysteries and stuff like that. You can't say rape. They always say grape, or they kind of do something like this, and, you know, I don't think you could get away with some of that sort of stuff these days. And, you know, for me, that's kind of I think people are becoming more desensitized to the act itself rather than the word that describes the act. It's weird. For me, like, the act itself is repulsive and horrible, but the word, I get the point and I get the meaning.
Well, it's the context of the lyrics, isn't it? If it was used in a bad way, then that's not so great. But like in the way he's like Burton's using it is more to bring attention to people in like these kind of situations and stuff. So the way he's doing it makes perfect sense. It's not like he's using that as a threat or anything. He's more saying like, this is messed up. So
yeah, exactly. And I think it's similar in a song called Thoughtless by Korn. Like I really love that song. It's one of my favorites that they did.
Well.
And again, it's just got that word in there. And like you said, I don't think a lot of that would have fly. It wouldn't fly these days. So maybe that's why you have to have these accessible albums to an extent, I suppose. I mean, there's nothing on this album that really makes me think, modern audience and all that. It's not like it's going to come with a warning from Burton saying, due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Oh, we better get on the next track, I reckon. Damage for Life.
Well, I believe you love the opening to this one, don't you?
Oh, man.
Damage format.
Damage. See, we need to settle this debate. Is it damaged format or damaged for life? Because when I Google it, it says damaged for life. Damage for life.
I don't know. I thought it was format.
Maybe you're not
be
supposed to know. Maybe it could be either or, because it does sound like it could be either or.
Maybe Linchpin really is Can't Give Me Up, or...
But no, this is probably my favorite song on the album. I'm just gonna say it. It's just again, it's the electronic stuff just goes so well with everything. Like even on Burton's voice, that like weird robotic effect. I'm like, oh, I love that stuff. Like it goes so well with what they're trying to portray, especially with the lyrics and stuff. But
I love the synth sound on this, and I don't know what it is, and it frustrates me because I don't think they've used it on any other album, but it's just that like I said, I don't know how they make it.
There's like a call and response, isn't there, with the guitars doing that, and then like it's almost, I think Dino said it's almost like a riff on a synth where it's like do 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 do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like, damn, I am damaged format. It reminded me of the bloody opening to Spider-Man Unlimited. But I couldn't tell you what the actual sound is. Like, I can only refer to it as synth. It frustrates me sometimes that I can't properly describe sound. Like, I know what I'm thinking in my head, but I can't articulate it into a way that makes sense.
One thing that I noticed with when the vocals come in as well is that Burton has tapped into something new here for sure, because it's almost like he's now doing the mechanical thing with his vocals as well as the instruments, because you think like consequences that have left me for dead, like the delivery of that is so weird. It's not like anything he's done before, and to me it has this like it's kind of like that mechanical vibe, like from him. Like he sounds like robotic, and it makes it sound so like futuristic. Trusting in no one, believing in nothing. It's just like such a weird delivery. Like I don't know like where it came from, but I think that's why it's such a standout track for me.
I do quite like the where it comes into the, and this is the thing as well, there's so many breakdowns in this album that are so good, but it's like that, and I can't believe I'm alive, down, down, boom, down, down. It's just perfectly timed, is that, it's even more so than the one in What Will Become, for example. But again, it kind of, it's almost like what you do with dance music, isn't it? You bring it down a little bit, just to sort of lower the pace and lower the beat for a minute, and then whoop, straight back in.
Yeah, I had this album, I mean, I didn't manage to finish it, but I had it on full blast in the car earlier, and I've got like way better speakers now, and it was so nice. But that bit when it's like, I can't believe I'm alive, and the whole thing just kind of like opens up. It's like it is an amazing moment.
And the ending as well, as it gets even heavier on that.
Yeah.
Oh mate.
And like it's funny because like the first song, What Will Become, doesn't have any clean singing really. The only bit in this really is the bit we just talked about, which is only like a small section. But these songs are so like catchy, and like we haven't had that really clean chorus yet, which I think is quite interesting. Because I reckon if the producers had their way, every song would be like the title track, like Linchpin, like Dark Bodies, you know, the really catchy choruses. And these have catchy choruses, but they're still heavy, like, damn, I am damaged for life. But it's still so, it's just so catchy still, considering how heavy that chorus is.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's a theme that goes throughout the album. I mean, not to jump ahead too much, if there's more you want to say about this song, but like the next song, One Step, for example, I think that's one that's your first sort of clean chorus in it, with that one step closer. Yeah. But again, it's just another catchy thing that gets stuck in your bloody head.
Mate,
like,
tell me you do not sing along with this every time it comes on. I do. I just can't help it. Even though I can't do it well, I'll just give it a go.
Sing along with it.
Yeah, that chorus. You can't. It's up there in their like probably top 5 catchiest choruses. It's just so like addictive. I actually really like this song. I don't think I really liked it for a while, and like every time I listen to it, I like it more and more now. It's unusual. Like the I think like near the start, there's no guitars and stuff. Like it all cuts out, and it's like, as I witness the death of innocence. Again, it's just like it's weird how accessible this music is, but like you can't name me anything that has a vocal delivery like that. It's just so unusual.
Well, I think, is it the actual title track that's next, Digimortal?
Oh, sorry, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of an interesting one. I can't remember exactly where it was, but I do remember reading something where they were kind of torn as to what the title track of the album was going to be. And I mean, I can kind of understand it, because every song on the album is really good, and it's like, if you've got 10 songs that you'd grade on a scale of, like, let's just say, you know, D to A, and they're all B's, like, where do you put the focus? You know, and it's a good theme, isn't it? Digimortal, digital immortality and such, but
yeah,
at the same time, I feel like I might be going a bit against the grain when I say it. I kind of feel like it's not the strongest title track on an album. Maybe a little bit like Obsolete as well. I feel like certain other title tracks on albums are a bit more like the main song, if that makes sense, the one that you base the album around.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I wouldn't really say this is like the best representation of the album as a whole kind of thing, but that aside, I actually really like the song. Like, I do think every time that comes on, I enjoy it more and more, just because it's just so catchy.
It's a vibe, isn't it? It's definitely one you can get into, and that one step closer, you could probably just leave it on repeat.
Yeah, and like, did you watch any of that video I linked to you the other day? My man, it just went over so well live as well, that like the whole crowd just singing that along, and I'm like, it does make you think. Like, it's one thing to hear these on you know, just your headphones, speakers, whatever, but hearing that live, it's like they definitely designed some of these songs with that in mind, I think.
I mean, I'm just trying to think back to whether if any of the gigs that we've gone to, whether they've played Digimortal. I'm not sure if they have.
I don't think it's.
But I know they've definitely played.
I don't think the song's been played for years.
And I think maybe that's the thing as well. Like you say, some of the albums where the title track isn't necessarily the thing that people know it for. Like this album, I think we can pretty confidently say is Linchpin. But, you know, I get where you're coming from, because the energy of this album is so high energy. Like, we've been in the pit, we've been at the front of the stage when you've been hearing that, can't tear me apart, can't tear me apart. So I can imagine this just going down the same way.
I think it would. I think this song is overshadowed by Linchpin. I've heard people say that before. Is that they kind of have a similar thing going on, like the catchy chorus. that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's a bit overshadowed by Linchpin, but if anything, I think that just makes it a bit underrated from my point of view. But
yeah, I think underrated as a song, but perhaps maybe not. I don't know.
I see
not a
why.
strong
I see why
title track, if that
Linchpin.
makes sense.
I do think Linchpin is the better song, and I think it deserves to be the single with the music video and their most streamed song. I totally get it. So I think it does make sense, but that's not to mean that this one should be forgotten about, kind of thing.
No, it's still a great song. Like you say, that it's one of the many songs on this album that has just such a catchy chorus that it's an album that you can't sort of skip over a track, but it's another one that you'll find yourself humming in your head. A song that clearly goes down well when it's played, but when you've got a set amount of time and all those fans and 13 albums to choose from, you've got to be brutal sometimes, aren't you?
I like that bit as well when it's like it goes a bit quieter for a minute and it's like one step closer to my fate, and it just like all kicks back in again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit. Like it just I actually would like to see this on live. Like from that video I think T2, I was like, man, it went over. It just I can't believe how well it went over, but I think it's just because it's so easy to sing along with it. Maybe that's why. But I've got a bit of trivia for this song. I remember again Dino saying that because it's so high, Burton was struggling to hit those notes and stuff, and there was a guy in the studio. I don't really know if he was helping produce the album or something, but he was in. Do you know the English band Yes, like the prog band?
Oh yeah.
He was a member of that. I don't think he was the singer though. I think he might have been the keyboard player. I think he was helping Reese with the keyboards or something weirdly on this album. You'd never think the two would come together. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I do know that he had to sing this chorus so Burton could kind of follow his voice to try and nail it, which I thought was interesting. But it's kind of a bit like what Burton was saying in that video, where it's he wasn't too comfortable with going out of his range like that, or somewhere where it's hard to hit consistently, at least.
Well, it's definitely a vocal challenge, this album, isn't it? Especially for Burton, his range. It is.
He can't catch a breath on any of the songs.
That's it, and I think a lot of people criticised him after leaving Fear Factory, saying, his voice is shot, he can't do it anymore, and this and this and this. And then there were a couple of videos from his live shows where people were like, hang about, I think he can. But a really good friend of mine made a point about this to me in the past when we were talking about Deep Purple, and he said if you listen to some of their songs from 30, 40 years ago, his voice has changed. He can't sing that the same way. He can't hit those same notes, and that's not to say that he can't sing anymore. It just means that his range has changed because his vocal cords have changed. This is quite difficult though, isn't it? Because you're talking about Burton's in his prime here. He's in his 30s.
I think they were he was early 30s at this point already, which I think people forget because it seems like such a young, fresh album, but actually the band's been around for a while. And Burton's hit his 30s already.
Well, that's it, and you think to yourself, to an extent, that your 30s, as some say, your prime years for things. It's kind of when you get to your 40s, everything starts fucking breaking.
Yeah.
But you think to yourself, if he can't get those notes at that point,
well, you got to do it every night.
What do you do?
You got to do it every night.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're playing back-to-back shows and stuff, and it's you're doing that after doing all the harsh vocals and everything. It's just, it's too full on, isn't it? And maybe that's part of the reason why he was feeling done at that point. It's just such a. I know there's other internal issues, but the burnout from doing that every day must just be crazy.
And it just brings me back to that idea of I want to know what the original vision was, what it sounded like. I love this album. It's a great album. I can literally listen to it on repeat. I can't praise this album enough. Is it my favourite Fear Factory album? No. Is it my least favourite? No. But it's definitely an album that I'm happy to listen to, one I can keep going back to, one I can share with people who maybe aren't as into metal as I am. And yet at the same time, I just think to myself, if the original songs were designed to fit within Burton's vocal range, what must they have sounded like? Because I don't think they'd have been this bright and upbeat, you know.
That's a really interesting point, actually, and like not just his vocal range, but also allowing some instrumental sections to just let him breathe a bit and stuff. Like, because if you think even like Obsolete or Demanufacture, like there's always those like little passages like within a song just to like literally catch your breath again. Whereas on these, it's just non-stop. Like, I mean, I think there are a few moments where it's just instrumental, but it's far and few between, isn't it? Because like I said, the songs are so short and concise, it doesn't really leave much space to cut the singing out. So I think it must have been a bit full on to be performing this stuff.
They are the length of pop songs, I'd probably say. Like if you listen to, I mean, God, I'm going to be just picking songs off the top of my head off what I heard on the radio because I'm not really into pop, but things like Umbrella by Rihanna, Chandelier or Elastic Heart by Sia, couple of Lady Gaga songs and stuff like that. Kylie Minogue were a thing when I were in high school. They were all sort of that 3 to 4 minute mark. You know, we don't really want to go over 4 minutes, and that's kind of what we've got here. Just looking at the times from what I can see, vast majority of these songs are under 4 minutes. In fact, the only two, I was going to say one, but I would have been wrong. The only two that go over that are Bite Block and Memory Imprints. And I mean, historically, the Fear Factory ending songs have been sort of not drawn out, but the longer songs on the album. Because if you take, for example, Expiration Date, it's got that sort of almost emotional, sad sort of synth at the end as it leads out from that, and you sort of hear the machine breaking down in the background. Or, in the case of Resurrection, you've then got Timelessness afterwards. It feels like it's the same song, for example, but just that kind of pensive closing afterwards and stuff like that. I mean, it's not a particularly long album, is it, in fairness? I mean, you're talking 45 minutes at the standard release and it's done.
Yeah, even the bonus track version, I'm just looking, it's only 55 minutes with all those extra tracks. So, yeah, it's got to be 40 something. Yeah. So it was definitely more of a concise thing. And like I said, even Memory Imprints, the last song, the sort of ambient bit is not even very long, is it? It's like a few minutes, 3 minutes. So even that's shorter. Kind of surprised they left that in a way for an album like this, but I thought it was cool that they still stuck to their guns on that. Anyway, we'll get to that, I suppose, but I guess we better touch on No One, the next song. You know, I see a lot of people really love this song, and I do like it, but I feel like not so much as some of the other tracks.
I will agree. I think it's the weakest song on the album, but in an album of great songs, like, even being the weakest is not a bad thing. It just means that, like, I tend to listen to this one less than the other songs, but I still enjoy it. If I'm going to go for a full playthrough of the album, I listen to it, I enjoy it, I get into it with that no one, no one. But if I thought to myself, like, oh, Digimortal, I'd be going to Dark Bodies, Linchpin, what will become Damage.
See, I've got a bit of a different take. I'd probably put this one higher. I think it's a few above my least favourite. Maybe like 3 or 4 above, which might be a bit shocking, but no, I do like this song.
Interesting.
I've heard a lot of people like asking, like, when are you gonna play No One? When are you gonna play No One? So there are people who like really like this song. I do like that he's doing that sort of interesting vocal delivery again, like violence in my head, like a thorn that pierced my skin, like that weird kind of rhythm. I do like that he's doing that again. But I think
the one thing that
song, I don't know if you agree, but I think what lets this song down for me is this has the weakest chorus in a way, like the no one, like it's just kind of like it doesn't hit as hard as the other songs. I don't think that chorus.
I'd agree on that point. I
Yeah.
do think that's a fair thing to say. I mean, one thing that stands out to me on this that I must admit, I don't think this is probably a sample that the band probably wanted in there, but it's that DJ scratch.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel a little bit forced. Yeah. Hmm.
That feels Linkin Park. That doesn't feel like Fear Factory to me. You know, I kind of feel like, you know, the producers probably went, what do you think? What do you think? And they kind of went, sure.
It's funny
Okay.
because in Edge Crusher, it feels like it really fits, and it feels more like an original idea because it's going along with like the breakdown bit. It's kind of like done in a unique way, but this feels more like, oh, those bands are doing that, they're doing really well. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that actually. Yeah.
But they kind of, I don't know if you'd describe it as an alarm. That da, da, da,
Yeah, I don't love
da,
that sound.
da.
I don't love that sound in it. I never have really. I don't know, but
I mean, between that and sort of the DJ scratch vinyl sound, it's like I don't know if they contribute to the song in a way that really makes it a better song. Perhaps
no.
without them, it. No, sorry. Let me reword that. With them, maybe it takes away that raw edge that they kind of wanted.
Yeah,
Because
no,
I mean,
it
I
does.
couldn't.
This is the song that it does feel a bit too distant from what they're like their own sound in a way. It's just a little bit pushed it a bit too far, maybe in the wrong
Well, it's
direction.
weird because I used to have a PlayStation 1 game. In fact, I still have it actually. I tell a lie. A PlayStation 1 game called Wu-Tang Taste the Pain. And as you probably guessed, it's about the rap group Wu-Tang, you know. And there's a song on there that is so similar because of that sort of DJ scratch, and especially how in this song it goes quiet and then comes back with that. You know, I can't vocalize that very well.
No, no.
But it just makes me think of that, and it's like it's not really Fear Factory to me, is that? And I think this is probably the one song that I would have appreciated less, if not no, synth. You know, in the same way that you'd mentioned about the bonus tracks not having it, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right, right on the money there. That's what it seems like to me. But it's funny because when we talk like this about songs, it sounds bad, but I still fucking love this song. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it might not be one of my favorites in the album, but it's definitely not a skipper or anything like that.
No, and this is it. I think it's too people are too happy to please in this day and age, aren't they? But you know, if you can talk about something that you like and still, you know, be critical of it without being, you know, biased or just particularly unfair. Like, I hate that song. Why?
Hmm.
Well, I just hate it. It's like, well, could you not
Like
tell me more of why you don't like
to
it?
sum it up, like I'd rather listen to this song on repeat for like hours than listen to like, I don't know, something that's just not for me, like some pop music or something. I'd rather just listen to no one to put it in context. But obviously that's not what we have to do, so that's good. But yeah, like I think it's just like it sounds like we don't like these songs, but it's not true. Yeah.
Well, like you say, you've got to be able to discuss the good and bad in every song, you know. And I'm sure if I might have the opinion that perhaps those synths don't add value to that song or really make it a better song, some other people might be like, I love that scratch, you know, or that alarm sound kind of gives it a vibe or something, like different strokes, different folks and all that in it. But I do think for me it kind of lets it down a bit. That's one song that felt like it was designed to be raw.
This is probably the first one on the album where I'd like, oh, I wish that was one of the bonus tracks instead, because I think that's a good placement to put it. It's just before Linchpin kind of thing.
I think Max would have been a happy man if Strain versus Resistance was in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That one would work fine. That would work fine there. Yeah, for example. The next track, nothing else to say on that one.
No. I think you've covered it all, haven't we? Again, it's yet another song with a catchy chorus, a great breakdown, and you know it kind of follows. Most songs on this album follow that formula, shall we
similar
say?
formula, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's the big one, Linchpin.
The song that Bert doesn't actually like that much.
Say again.
A song that Burton has said that he doesn't really like it that much.
That was interesting, but
I
actually,
don't think he hates
at first
it.
I was a bit like, what? But then I was kind of like, actually, if you're the singer of that song and it's not a song you're very comfortable with singing, and the way it was achieved to make it felt not very true to your abilities or something, that does feel a bit like he's not one to release music that's not very like genuine. This is probably one of the only songs out there that he's like thinks like that. I imagine, because it's just, yeah, I don't know. I can see his perspective on it now. Now I've thought about it a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it almost it kind of makes you think, like, you know, as a fan of the band, as someone who loves the music, someone who really loves the song. I mean, I love playing this on my bass; it's so groovy.
Yeah.
I play it incorrectly because I don't really have thick enough gauge strings to play it in A properly. When I do, they get far too slinky, and I just don't get the sound. I think I've got 125s, and I'm thinking of beefing them up to either 135s to 140.
It's going to be like this thick.
Yeah, my plectrum is a CD.
It's you like know, telephone wire.
But it just. God, I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point. It reminds me of something that I saw maybe a year or two ago, and it was a Metallica gig, and some people recorded James Hetfield, and they were like, you know, what's he doing? And he's turned his back away from the fans, but where the stage is, you know, the fans kind of go all the way around, and whoever's at the side of the stage has got a little bit of his face, and you can see him playing the beginning to Enter Sandman, and he's just going, why am I doing this again? Why am I doing this? And I mean, I kind of get it. Like, if you've got when you've got 13 albums full of music, you know, and you're playing Linchpin every single time, I can see why it might grate, but at the same time, people want to hear it. I want to hear it. You know, when we went to the
you would probably start to really not like that song though if you struggle to perform it. Like James has got no issue performing that song. So if it was
it was just sort of a loose comparison of one. I think he got to the point where we're like, I'm just sick of singing it now.
The thing is with Linchpin, right? Interestingly, they never played it that much because I guess he didn't. Well, it was a struggle to perform it. So I know it was played a lot during this album cycle, and I think they played it a bit mid 2000s, and then a little bit again, like when they reformed the band. But if you look at it, it's not been played that much. But now it's a staple, isn't it, in the set? I don't see it leaving. I don't see it ever leaving now.
For the past couple of years that I've really been going to see Fear Factory quite a lot. Like, it's been in every show, and the response to it each and every time is unbelievable. The energy, the pit, just everything about it. And Milo does such a great interpretation of the song as well. Yeah. Like, you know, it is the one thing, and even now, and it really frustrates me, is I still see comments on Facebook, on any streaming platform where they can, and they say, without Burton it's dead, just stop it. And it's like, go and listen to him, feel the energy in that song, just listen to how well he does it. And I think that extra energy Milo's got, and certainly the fact that his vocal range, I think personally, is a little bit higher than Burton's. I think he does really, really well with it, you know, and it gives it that extra dimension, that extra energy. And you know,
it's more something I really. It's more comfortable for him to sing, and he'll be able to sing it consistently for that reason. But it's like, people need to just understand that everyone's got a different voice, and everyone's got strengths and weaknesses. And it just so happens that Linchpin is more suited to his voice. But then, at the same token, if Milo was to do a song like Fear Campaign, I think he would nail it. Don't get me wrong, but I think Burton, like, that, it's just like you can't even replicate that kind of vocal performance. Like even Milo, like, I don't think would be able to do it exactly how that is. But so they've both got strengths and weaknesses in a way. So it's kind of like you can't really compare people's voices. It just doesn't really work like that. Like
no, and it's like when we went to Manchester and Bristol. I think it was last year to watch Fear Factory play with Kerry King when they were doing the Demanufactured tour, weren't they? And they ended the gigs with Lynchpin as just something that wasn't off the Demanufacture album. The energy was insane, man. You know, and you just can't say enough about it. It's a great song. It's really fun to play if you are a musician. It's great to listen to, whether you're listening to it live or, you know, streaming it on a device off your CD, whatever you want to say. And I quite like the video as well, to be honest with you.
Me too, yeah. I like it,
although I always thought I never really liked that hairstyle on Burton. I know that sounds a bit weird. It was just a bit of a weird one. Same way that when he did Transgression, he sort of grew his hair quite long again, and he had the mustache, and it was like, I feel like he's sort of in a bit of a midlife crisis here, dude. Do you know? But it's, you know, the video with the machinery, just the flashing images, and I fucking love Christian's jersey.
Oh yeah,
love it.
Yeah. No, the machine going to the riff was just pure genius. It
just goes into the beat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good idea. No, there's not much to say about the song that hasn't already been said in a way. It's very to the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I would argue personally, it is my favourite song on the album. I mean, I know we'll come to the sort of rankings later, and I do have a close second. I will be honest, I do have a close second.
Yeah.
But just the hook, you know, the "Can't Tear Me Apart," it's just got such energy in it, hasn't it? And
yeah. It's just
even though perhaps
such a crowd pleasing
it's
song.
not. Even though perhaps it's not maybe a genuine performance by Burton in the sense that there was a bit of extra, you know, ingredients that help produce that vocal performance on the recorded track. It's just got such a fucking energy. Like I can't describe it in any other way. That it's just, you know, if you walk out of, I could listen to 20 songs that were doom and depressing and upsetting and emotional. They could finish it with Lynchpin, and I'd feel like I had the greatest time of my life. Do you know what I mean?
It definitely will. I guarantee it'll put you in a better mood by the time you've finished it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just love the uplifting feel of it, and I think, like you say, the crowd can get in on that one. Very high energy, very high octane, very bright, very positive. Even though it's, you know, in theory, if you listen to the lyrics and stuff, it's relatively dark, but it doesn't come across that way. And, you know, I think it's definitely one that, as you say, most people know and love.
It reminds me a bit like the riff just could not be simpler. And it reminds me a bit like, you know, Walk by Pantera. It's like, how does this even work? Like, it's just so basic. It's almost like, it's not, obviously it's a different kind of riff, but the simplicity of it, I'm just like, wow. I forget sometimes a riff can just be da 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 da.
It's not even that hard to play either. I mean, I believe it's played in A.
It sounds pretty straightforward.
And you literally, you're on the first fret on the A string, da little, da little, and then da 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 da. I mean, I'm coming from bass anyway, so you know it's not. It's more difficult on the 7 string, but sometimes you find with songs, and Fear Factory really emphasize this point, like simple can be incredibly effective. Like Before I Forget by Slipknot, it's nowhere near one of their most technical songs, but fuck me, is it enjoyable and memorable. And I think you can say the same. Replica, again, it's not overly technical. They've got songs where they definitely demonstrate the skill as musicians a hell of a lot more, but you know, does that make it less enjoyable? No, it's probably one of the best songs they've done.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't know if I have much more to say about it, really. I feel like I keep forgetting things today. um,
I know that I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I believe I read something somewhere that said originally they were going to spell it Lynch, Lynch. Whether or not
interesting.
that's a great topic of
Yeah,
discussion, I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just it's a great song, isn't it? I mean, if I remember, it peaked at about is it 30 or something like that, 30, 31st, something pretty well in the charts.
hmm.
But yeah, it's just
I
just a
get
great
this
fucking
feeling.
song.
I remember what I was going to say now. This might just be me making complete shit up, but I get the feeling that this is the kind of song that, or one of the kind of songs that Dino was like, I don't want to make that. That's not really what I think this band should be making, kind of thing. Not sure I'm on board with it. But I feel like over the years he's really warmed to that song and seen how, like, yeah, he still recognizes, yeah, it's an accessible song, but I think he's like, yeah, this is, this is part of who we are, kind of thing. I think there's been some acceptance with this kind of like side of the band from him. I don't know. This might be me making stuff up, but I get that feeling.
No, I can agree with that. I think sometimes you've got a certain sound that you're going for, aren't you? And you know, as a musician, professionally, you're at the mercy of the one who's paying the bills, aren't you?
Mm.
And I think perhaps, and I know I've already said it a few times, and I'm going to say it again and sound like a broken record, but perhaps the original vision was more like what the band really wanted. But then when you know, if I was a musician and I had to make a song and I thought this is my vision, and the producers were like, well, we like it, but we think this is better, and you kind of like, well, I either put food on the table or I don't, sort of situation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just see how well firsthand it goes down and how well loved it is. It can grow on you, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm sure, especially in recent years, like he's seen how well the song's going over live, and how much like the crowd goes off. Like you see those massive festivals, people just going nuts to this song, and it's like that can almost make you like the song even more. Like even if you're the writer of it or co-writer of it, you might sort of change your opinion on it. Like because it's not like your opinions are fixed on anything. Um,
No, exactly. They can change. I mean, he might never change his opinion about transgression, but
yeah,
as you say, there are things that, I mean, even sometimes just as a musician, you kind of look back at certain things and think, maybe I didn't appreciate that enough back then. I mean, I certainly do it with video games all the time. I think back to a game and you're just like, actually, it really was underappreciated, or I didn't look at it like that.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's good that he's playing it more. I really enjoy it. And, I mean, you were there. You saw how people reacted when they played it, before Kerry King came on.
I know how I
The
reacted to it, going crazy.
the whole place just lit up, didn't it? And
Yeah,
that's not to say that, anything from Demanufacture was any less energy. It just happened to be like, it's linchpin.
I think it was the right choice there.
Let's get excited.
I think it was the right choice to just sneak one extra little song in there because it's a short song. It's a very well-known song, so pretty much everyone in the room is going to know it, I reckon. I think it was just a cool way to cap it off. Because ending on therapy. I always say this wrong. Therapy for pain just doesn't really. It doesn't feel like the right note to end on in a live setting. It's weird though because you've got songs like. I feel like you can end on like Resurrection and stuff, but yeah, something about Therapy for Pain. It just felt like no, I don't really want to end on that one.
Yeah, it's I've said many a times that one of my absolute favourite songs by Fear Factory is Enhanced Reality, and I'm so happy that it made it onto Reindustrialized and completed the album really. I think, but at the same time, like, do you want to end a gig with a song that is quite emotional, quite thought provoking, quite reflective? That's almost more of a question, or maybe like just something that makes you think, And that was the beauty of that song and the album. You listen to Recharger, you listen to the chorus, "Live for today," and again the same thing, but in a completely different way. You know, that "Live for today," and it's got that very different energy to it, and I think perhaps that's the same sort of comparison that can be made. Is
Yeah.
like how it's done, how it's brought across, and things like
Yeah.
that. So,
Whereas
you
ending
know,
on ending on linchpin, you can't go wrong, can you? Kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, if as much as I absolutely love enhanced reality, if I walked out of a gig, you know, I'd love to have heard it played, but I'd almost be like a bit bummed out because the tone is just quite deep and quite sad, you know, and
yeah,
thought provoking. Now I'm the kind of person who quite enjoys like nihilistic things. Like I enjoy a good "fuck you" movie. Do you know what I mean? Like perfect example. One of my most unpopular opinions is the fact that I think Alien 3 is one of the
oh
best
yeah,
films of all
I
time.
know you've mentioned that. Yeah,
It-
I've not really watched. Well, I've seen like the first couple, but yeah,
well, I think the difficulty was it came out at a period of time where action movies were still sort of the thing. They were sort of dying down a bit after the 80s, but 92, you still had a lot of action films around. A lot of the big stars like, you know, Stallone and Schwarzenegger were still around. And the idea of the technology from the 90s, especially after, you know, what they did with Terminator 2 and stuff like that, you'd think to yourself, oh, Alien 3 is going to be a real thrilling sort of Marines versus alien experience. And then to kill off all the action characters before the film has started was just like, fuck you.
yeah,
Yeah, you
I
like
do
James
like
Cameron's movie?
when
That's wonderful. Fuck you.
films, well, directors and or story writers take risks like that, and you're just like, what? Like, but it's good.
Yeah,
That's what makes things memorable, isn't it? So
and that's what I mean. You know, you get to the end of the film, and if you were that kind of person who was looking for another, you know, 90 minutes of more Marines, more aliens, more explosions and stuff like that, like you get bored of that formula very quickly. And that was my point. You know, you can't make 20, 30 more films about a woman who's fought this, you know, perfect killing machine, and she's got a new set of soldiers in a new location and a new battle and da 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 da. Like you can only do so many things. You know, originality will run out eventually, and you either ruin the franchise by milking it and making it go stale, or you do the brave thing and say, you know what, fuck you, this is my movie, and I'm going to do it like this. Now, they may decide to end on a song sometimes that might make you go, well, shit, and just sort of walk out thinking to yourself like,
yeah,
oh, well, that was fun, but you know, they throw a linchpin in, and all of a sudden you're in a good mood. So
yeah, it's just a 3 minute song that can change the vibe very quickly.
it's a
Yeah,
powerful song like that. Very powerful song.
I mean, yeah, especially considering how short it is and how much it can change how you're feeling that day or in that moment. It's quite incredible, really, I suppose.
So it's literally about 3.5 minutes in it, if I remember correctly.
I think it is. I mean, 3:24. Yeah, so it is. Next song
Do you know?
is. Sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say, I was listening to this album so much last month. I think it was the third month in a row that YouTube were like, "You're in the top 0.25% of people listening to Fear Factory,"
Nice.
and I'm like, "Consistency is the fucking."
Just from Digimon.
And most of that was from Digimortal, and most of it was from Lynchpin and the
Wow.
song that we're about to discuss now, Invisible Wounds.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny. No, I love this song actually. Again, it's just growing on me more and more and more. Really, this song. It just I feel like it just gets better each time. Really, like I love the clean guitar intro. Again,
I
it
do
is
love
a
this song.
little. I get that it's sort of similar to what was going on at the time, but again, I just think the way Dino does it, it kind of has its own flavor on it still.
It does. I mean, I don't know how to put it. It does kind of combine simplicity once again in such a way that it's just a fantastic song. Like, when I first got my 7-string guitar, I tried to learn this song, and I found it quite difficult because, probably for right or for wrong, the tabs that I found online showed such a stretch of the fingers, you know, like that's my full stretch.
Yeah.
That's not very big, which is why when I'm playing bass, I have to micro shift a lot. So because I can't, I have 2 different basses, as I've shown you before.
Yeah.
My first bass is a full 24 fret bass, literally designed off the Dave Ellefson model that he played with in Megadeth from many years ago. But it's got that stretch, and I can't get from fret 1 to 4. I can't, so I have to micro shift just a little bit, not to look like John Cena, but you know, I've got to do that. And when I looked
especially
at
on the bass at
sort of
that end of the neck, that's where it's the widest, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and the frets are so big, and you think to yourself, like, my hand is hurting, especially on warm-up exercises. So I'll go 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 2 3, just to make sure that I'm, you know, using every finger, especially ring finger, because you really need control over that. I find, if you want to be, because it's a finger we don't really use, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was just one song that I found really difficult to play with that do 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 do, and then to go from 5 to 3 while still having your pinky and ring finger on the 7th string, the 7th fret on your 4th and 5th string, like, that is a stretch. Now, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be played, but the rest of the song is very simplistic. If you're to play it, and then, you know, it's quite I can't think of any other word but simplistic. I really need to get a dictionary, don't I?
It's just a satisfying,
or at least a thesaurus.
Yeah, it's got a satisfying. It's simple, but it's got a very satisfying progression, I guess, to it, chord progression.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be anything flamboyant, and I guess maybe that's the point they were making with the album. It's not like prog rock. It's not a 30-minute Octavarium by Dream Theater.
No.
You know,
I love the keys
it's
in
so
this
effective.
song. I love the keys in this song as well. Like, again, they're fairly simple, but they just like really give it like a unique vibe in a way, I guess. Is the only way to put it.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
No, it's okay. I was just agreeing with you there.
Oh, yeah. And I think an interesting comparison, I actually only just thought about this because we were saying, we were talking about how high pitched the vocals are in like Linchpin and stuff. It's interesting that Invisible Wounds, Dark Bodies goes the complete opposite, where you think how deep those vocals are. Dark bodies floating in dark. It's such an interesting comparison. And I think like it does seem like Burton really likes the song, like in comparison, that he likes the lyrical content and stuff, and I do like that the vocals do feel a bit more like what he was doing on like Demanufacture and stuff, like that lower pitched like kind of thing.
Yeah, and I can really kind of see where he's coming from with this one, because I know that from a lyrical point of view, the song is about what it must have been like, because he's a twin, isn't he? So it must have been what it was like in the womb with his brother. Dark bodies, so just two children floating in complete blackness, no sign of light ever given in prison. Kind of like I saw my own face. Now I've never seen Bert's brother, but I whether they're identical twins or not, I don't know. But
they're not
obviously
identical,
they must have looked quite alike.
They're not identical, but they do look like similar.
Very similar looking.
Yeah.
I was going to say it must be such a strange thing. It'd be like looking into a mirror and then realizing there is no mirror. And you're like, oh wow, this is strange to look at yourself in such a way. But it is quite an interesting song, isn't it? Because it's got everything in one. It's got a nice simple structure that makes it easy to listen to, easy to play. It's got yet another catchy hook with that, and I saw my own face, and it's got that breakdown, that dark. My life was so dark. It's sort of one of the best examples of the album, of this formula working to the best of its ability. And what I'd probably say is as well, like, I like both this song and the I don't know if it's the remix or maybe the alternate version that is on. Is it Hate Files? I think.
Yeah.
But I'd argue that I much prefer the ending of this, where it kind of fades out to the clean chorus guitar being played backwards, to that kind of orchestral. I were like, nah, you just kind of ruined it a bit there.
Yeah. No, I do like the album version more. The remix one is probably it's a good one if you're trying to like try and get someone into the band who's like not used to heavy music, because it does cut out the heavy part. So
Yeah, the breakdown
if
as
that's
well.
like
Yeah,
a no-go, then you could show them that version, I guess. But again, I feel like the heavy part is essential to it. It is still showing them that side of them, even if it's just for a small section, kind of thing.
I mean, I do love that. I'd love to know how it's supposed to be played properly. The do 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 do.
Yeah, this song is almost like the descent of Digimortal, isn't it? Like, if that's what that song was to Obsolete, this is what this song is to this, and I like the placement of it and stuff near like the middle of the album, kind of thing.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
Acres of Skin. Da 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 da.
Man, wait, there's something again. I keep forgetting. I keep having these thoughts, and I'm like, there's something about Invisible Wounds. God, what was it? Yeah, because like the same as Descent, they kind of flip their formula for these songs, where it's like, normally their songs are like heavy, and then the chorus is clean, like vocal, and then but like Descent and this song, it's kind of like the verses are clean, but then the chorus is heavy, and it's almost like what? But it just makes so much sense when you hear it. Like, nice, so yeah. So just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Has your camera frozen for you?
I think it has. I don't know why. I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on and hope for the best. There we go.
Hold this trick in a bit.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Acres of Skin next. I mean, this is arguably. I mean, it is the heaviest song on the album, right? I can't think what would be heavier.
Yeah, I'd say so. And to be fair, it's probably the song that I have the least to say about as well. It's a song that has everything I sort of expect from Fear Factory. I enjoy it. I like the kind of hook where it sort of da, 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 breaks it down to that 4 acres of skin. But there's nothing that I feel is ultimately unique with this one. It's a song that kind of fits into the formula of the structure of all the songs, if you will. Enjoyable to listen to, not one I tend to skip over, but not one I've really got much to say about, to be honest. It's a good song.
It seems like this is one of Dino's favourites, but I think this is the one he was fighting for. Like, we need to have a heavy song on there. Like, we need to have it. It's probably one of my it's probably towards the bottom for me, this song. But I still think it's really good, and like you can't argue with that main riff, like da 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 da. Like, it's pretty awesome. I
think as well that didn't Burton say that this was about Australian prisoners and how they were being experimented on by like doctors and scientists and stuff. It's the name of a book, I think. I've never read it, but it sounds pretty grim. I might have a read of it at some point.
Concept, I think, yeah. I kind of like the part where it kind of like calms down for a second. It's like, all I want and wish for is to end the suffering. Like, it's just kind of like that lower vocal again. I just like when he does that kind of like drony kind of vocal. And then it like comes in like a lot harder again, like without face, without yeah, you know it. But I don't know. I mean, I like.
Yeah, it is.
You get.
No, it's okay. Go on, sir.
I do like the chorus as well, like you were saying, but I feel like it's not quite as catchy again as some of the other songs. Maybe it's because it's all half vocal kind of thing. I don't really know, but
Digimortal vibes in it, you know. It's an interesting song in sort of the theme and where they're going with the lyrics and such, and you know, especially sort of being based on the book and the story that's about. It did need that heavy song as well. The breakdown again, I really like it as much as I do throughout the whole album. It seems to use that trope of dance music where, I mean, I'm not a big fan of dance, but I used to have a friend who listened to I think it's called Clubland or something like that, and they'd all do this same thing where you'd really be getting into the song, and then they'd just kind of and then boom, back to where we go.
Yeah.
And I think it's another effective use of it here. You know, it needs that little break just for a moment before it kicks back in. But bloody hell,
I think the placement on the album makes a lot of sense because you've got like the pretty much the two most melodic songs like Linchpin and Invisible Wounds. Then you get this, and it is just like getting hit by a train in the best way possible.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like the with the quality of the songs on the album and how good they all are, you struggle to place them in sort of a set list. Like me and my cousin today, for example, we were talking about the set list of cover songs we're doing for our band before we go into, you know, actually writing music. We've got a couple of songs down, and you know, I've sort of shown you one, but when you're using other people's music and stuff as cover material and you're writing a set list of your own, it's easy to think, do we go in terms of heaviness, do we go in terms of year, do we do this? You've got so many different ways to approach it, but with the music that's on this album, I just sit and think to myself, like, I don't think I can change the order of these songs.
No.
They're just, like, it. I can't think of a song that I'd switch it out for or move it around for.
Sometimes it's quite apparent, isn't it? Like that, you know, like this is definitely the order it's supposed to be in. It just flows that way, kind of thing.
Maybe it were written that way. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I say, from the demos that made it into the public domain as well, when you listen through to them, you can see that there was a pretty clear vision there. Certainly from the band, and you know, the powers that be obviously had an idea of what they wanted it to be as well. I don't think this is a song that was overproduced, though. I think you're right in what you're saying, that Dino really fought for this one, and you can tell that it is more traditional Fear Factory. It's less on the samples, the synths, the over-polished feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it doesn't...
Still got that raw element.
As heavy as it is, I don't think the production and the clean aspect of it serves it that well. Like, if it had... Imagine the song with, like, obsolete production, it would be like, holy shit. I think that's... I think you hit it on the money there.
Yeah. But, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much to say about it. It's a good song.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. It's probably not one of my go-tos, but you know, I still enjoy listening to it when it comes on. It's one I look forward to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Just before we touch on the next song, I remember there was another thing I was going to say about Invisible Wounds. You know, right at the end, have you ever noticed the keyboards do like a little variation? It's like da, 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 da. Like it kind of like it's like a little extra little note in there. Have a listen next time you hear it. It's only right at the end, and I'm like, man, it's funny how one little variation like that, it feels like it adds so much like emotion to that ending. I think you'd notice it now I've said about it.
I think I know what you're speaking of. You're talking a bit where it's going like, dark bodies floating in darkness.
Yeah, and the keys, it's not just holding. It's like holding it. It's like da, 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 da. Like I can't really sing it, but
Yeah.
It just adds this little bit of flavor, and I'm like, man, it's fucking crazy how like just a little change like that can make something sound so different and give it more like meaning in a way, for lack of a better term. But yeah, better press on to back the fuck up. Well, it's a controversial one.
A lot of people will say it's shit. I like it. Fucking sue me.
I don't know if I'd say it's completely shit, but it's one of my least favorite Fear Factory songs.
It's definitely one where the producers probably turned around, and I mean, I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty sure someone somewhere went, Linkin Park rap, Limp Bizkit rap, they sell a lot of money. Dino, come here.
Yeah.
You know, we need a song with a rapper. Really? Yes. Fine. You know, that's how it comes across, doesn't it?
I feel like
it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't mind this song. I feel like I wouldn't mind this song as much if it was a single. I feel like it takes me out of the album a little bit. I think a lot of it's to do with Be Real and stuff. I just feel like it doesn't, for me, that doesn't...
It doesn't fit the vibe.
It doesn't fit the vibe, yeah, that's exactly it. But I feel like as a standalone song, maybe I would enjoy it more. That makes sense.
It's like if you took Scapegoat or Scum Grief and put it on instead of this song, you'd be like, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
Oh, tired dog.
Yeah, bedtime soon. But I mean, I will give it that.
He loves his Fear Factory.
I will say it's a pretty damn heavy song. Like the main riff is actually pretty solid. And I like some of the keyboards.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's got the makings of a good track. You know, it feels forced. It is forced, isn't it? You know, especially the lyrics and stuff. It feels weird hearing Burton try and rap.
Yeah.
Or at least he's singing it in a very rhythmical. You know, when I hit the street, I made the man understand. I fought with flesh and I bled like a man. You know,
it does feel a bit too. It's very of its time, isn't it? It does feel like, yeah, I'm down with the kids.
Yeah, it's like that one producer was like, well, everyone's doing it. It worked for Limp Bizkit. That's maybe it fucking did, but that's not what we want.
Yeah. I mean, because he kind of did that rapping bit in Edge Crusher a little bit, but I feel like there it just worked so well. But I think he did it more in a way that he was more comfortable with. Whereas this, it does feel like someone said, "Do that, that'll be cool," kind of thing. It doesn't feel like something he would come up with or want to do, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a bit like Transgression, isn't it? If you're a Fear Factory fan, there are things that are a bit divisive throughout the band's history, whether it's the politics, it's the band members that you like or dislike, or you know, the album that you like or dislike. It's just the one song on the album that makes you go,
Yeah.
And I admit that as someone who likes the song, you know, I get quite caught into that. Like, you know, you've got to back the. It always makes me think of Blade for some reason. You know, I feel like it should have been in like Blade 2 or something.
Yeah, it feels like it could be from a video game or something like that. But I mean, that's the bit I probably. Yeah. I kind of like that part the most out of it, just like the chorus, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the Be Real stuff. I'm not really a fan of the Burn rapping stuff. But again, if it was a single, I think I'd enjoy it more. It's more like in the context of the whole album. It feels like it takes me out of it a little bit.
I'm surprised, really, because I know Cypress Hill are pretty big, but I'd have thought if they were going to have a rap song, would they have not tried to get like a rap metal artist in to work with them on that?
I don't know. I think
maybe
I know this song was, as far as I know, is written by Christian, right? So.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I think it is, because I remember Dino saying like his least favorite song he wrote was Obsolete, like the title track, and then he was like, "Oh, not including this one because Christian wrote it." Whether he wrote 100% of it, I don't know. But I know he really, really didn't want this song to go on the album, but they kind of just did it anyway because it was,
Well,
three against one or whatever. But I know Christian plays with Cypress Hill and stuff, so there was obviously must be a long term
that connection.
friendship there, I guess. So I think he
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean, I do feel like it is one and I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. I'm only speculating. I do feel like it's a song that was sort of forced upon them, not necessarily one that they were happy to make, but it were kind of like, well, you're doing it, and that's that in a nutshell. Um, but I just think it would have made more sense to have, um, Fred Durst or Mike Shinoda, just someone. There's a Canadian metal group that do rap metal called Thousand Foot Crutch, but I can't think of the name of the singer. Yeah, like I do like a bit of rap metal. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
There's quite a few bands that I really enjoy that do that sort of thing, but it, it feels too left field, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
like I appreciate that if someone has mandated that this is what we want a rap metal song on this album,
Hmm.
regardless, that they'd have just at least stayed thematic and had somebody from a rap metal band. But then, you hear stories about the behavior of some of these people. Like maybe Mike Shinoda would have fit because he seems like he's got his head screwed on. He's pretty down to earth.
Hmm.
Um, but his rhymes are really technical, and he's got a very very good vocabulary on him. So
Yeah, it's funny
would that
actually.
have fit well
I'm not
with?
one. I'm not one to like rapping, but actually, I really like how Mike does it, and like I like Linkin Park and stuff. But and I
Yeah,
like a bit of like Rage Against the Machine, that kind of thing. But a lot of it for me is
mm,
instantly like, no, I just don't like it. But there are a few artists where I'm like, they must be doing it in a certain way that gels with me. But yeah, usually it's not really for me. But
some of them can get away with it. I think if they'd have invited Mike Shinoda in, maybe it would have been not necessarily the idea that it was a rap metal song that they would have tried to market it towards. It probably would have been more that Linkin Park connection,
yeah,
just because of how big they were at the time, and again, no disrespect to Fear Factory at all. I think any fan of Fear Factory would have wished they were just as big as some of the biggest acts at that time.
hmm.
We can't change what was and what wasn't. But then I think to myself, like, would it really have made sense with Fred Durst? I mean, a lot of people said that he's a fucking pain in the arse to work with. I know there was that whole thing where he got accused of stealing Eddie Van Halen's music equipment, something like that. Like Van Halen got kicked out of their mansion or something, or where they were practicing, and they won't let him come back in and get his stuff or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, the Fear Factory seem like the kind of people to put up with petty bullshit. Not really, and they were involved. They were always involved in controversy somehow, some way, weren't they? They had a bit of a thing with Eminem. Um, yeah, it's just a weird one.
Hmm.
I, as
Most
much as I try and rack
collaborations.
my brain, I can't think of anyone.
No, most collaborations, I'm just never really that bothered about them. Like, usually, it's usually to dislike to indifferent. I'm never like, oh, I really like that they did a collaboration, unless, again, more so as a single, that could be like, oh, that's a bit of fun. But usually, I'm just like, no, I'm not really bothered about them, even if it's artists that I both really like. I'm kind of like, I'm more on board with
I
like
think I think
when bands get like guest solos and stuff, or like, oh, this person did a few riffs and guitar, like, okay, that's cool. But sometimes when it's vocals, I'm a bit like, well, I want that vocalist as part of that band and that band. Like, I'm thinking Deftones. There's that one with Maynard, and that is like an awesome, like Maynard from Tool. That's an awesome song. But I'm kind of like, did we need both? I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of indifferent about it, so I don't know.
well, that's it. I never really vibed with that Roadrunner United. It was just it screamed cash grab. Like, you're not Marvel's fucking Avengers. I don't think it
No.
works that way. You take five different musicians from five different metal bands and tell them to make a song, and it's like they've all got their own way of writing, they've all got
Yeah.
their own sound, they've all got their own this. I think Dino were in one with Matt Heafy from Trivium. Was it called The End? Just when you think it was over, and it's like it's probably the only song that I've heard from Dino where I was like, that doesn't feel like you, and I don't really feel much of a connection to that song, even though he is my favourite guitarist, is the person that inspired me to start learning to play guitar. And I guess maybe that's how a lot of people feel about this one, but at least it is quote unquote Fear Factory,
Yeah.
even if it does have Be Real in there. I can't think of anyone else that I would have said, he would have been a good shout to collaborate on this track with, would have been ABC.
Yeah.
So I think whichever way they were going to go with this one, I think they were fighting a bit of a losing battle.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that you like the track.
Com see, com sa, some do, some don't.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes skip it, but sometimes don't. It kind of depends what mood I'm in. But yeah,
Mood you're in.
yeah. But
It's good when it says it on the back of your t-shirt and you don't want people to bother you.
yeah. But again, I'd probably rather listen to this on repeat than some other artists out there. So there is that again.
Yeah.
Next one's Bite Block. I don't know why Bite Block and Hurt Conveyor. Like I just can never get them round the right way. No,
It is a song
like
that I sometimes forget about this one. It just I don't know. I used to make the mistake, and do you know what? I still do, and I don't know why. I should know better, but I keep thinking that Dark Bodies is on Obsolete, and it's not. And I keep thinking that Bite Block was on Demanufacture, and it's not. It's like, for whatever reason, my brain is just wired up to think, oh yeah, that's on. No, it's not. No, it's not. Same way as I used to get confused, not confused, but I used to get mixed up between Body Hammer and Hurt Conveyor. I just have these moments sometimes where brain doesn't brain. It's a good song. I like it. It's got the longest intro. I think
yeah.
it's about
One's...
about a minute in length.
I can't remember the intro, but I'm looking. It's 5 minutes 20. This song, so it's definitely one of the longer ones.
Yeah, because I remember that I'm nothing more, nothing less, but I don't think that's until about a minute in or so.
Oh, it might well be, yeah.
But I think this is another example of songs that are a bit more raw, a bit more hardcore than some of the others on the album that maybe have more synth, feel a bit more overproduced. Especially that falling, fading.
I do really like that bit. I think that's probably my favourite part of the song in a way.
It does stand out. I mean, the actual, if you take the lyrics out of it, it doesn't actually. It sounds like something from Genexus, I think. If you take the lyrics out of it,
I never thought about that.
It's got that sort of Soul Hacker vibe.
Yeah.
Or maybe Soul Hacker has the, chicken and egg situation.
Yeah, this is the song that has that kind of like atmospheric bit, doesn't it? It's like, I have no more memory, like kind of bit. And then it like kicks back in, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, towards the end with that.
Don't know how I got here, but I wish I was dead.
Void of humanity. Da, da, da. Yeah, because it's quite a long opening, and then as you say, because this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it is a bass in the same way that they used in Edge Crusher, but it literally goes right quiet and it's got that do do do.
Oh, it could be, yeah, potentially.
I'm sure it is.
I think what I appreciate about this song and the next one is that they feel a bit more experimental and a bit less like just trying to write catchy songs kind of thing. They kind of, yeah, that's the best word, and they're really experimental. Yeah.
This song, I think, is probably more consistent with Obsolete.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think you could actually probably put this on Obsolete and it would feel like it was supposed to be on that
Yeah,
album.
no, I'm definitely seeing that now I think about it. Yeah,
It's not a bad song by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of the longer ones on the album, as we say, and it's definitely one that I enjoy listening to. It feels like it was one of the two, maybe, and maybe you can sort of see where different people were pulling in different directions a lot more here. I'd have said this was more of like a Dino song for that reason.
yeah,
Maybe Christian and Raymond wanted more of like the What Will Become. I don't know how, Burton's expressed his opinions of the album quite widely. It seems like he was happy with the album. He liked it, but he probably was much more appreciative or you kind of feel like he wanted the original vision more than what we ended up with.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
I got the same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
you can hear it in this song.
I think this song might have a bit more of an industrial edge as well, whereas pretty much the rest of the album, I mean, there's only like hints. Like I guess you've got like the linchpin kind of like do, even though it's sort of isn't. But if you think compared to like the last couple of albums, a lot of traces of their industrial sound is kind of gone on this album. I mean, I'd probably say out of their whole catalogue, it might be the least industrial, actually.
Yeah.
Transgression. Even Transgression has more of it. Just think of like the title track, like the repetitiveness and that. It's way more industrial than this. So yeah, this track might have a bit more of it.
I can't say that this is like a groove metal album. I don't think it's new metal. I don't think it's pop. I mean, I don't know where you'd put it because there's a really good blend of different music, different sounds in there.
It's a bullshit term, but it's kind of like new metal adjacent. That's the only way I think about it.
Yeah, I suppose I can see where you're coming from, but like you say, it's widely discussed already, isn't it? That it was very overproduced. Clearly, a lot of people wanted it to sound a certain way, or maybe that was the mission from the get-go. The higher ups with the cash were like, you need to persuade them to make an album that sounds like, whatever, take your pick, or just to have a particular type of sound, like, one of the people are making decisions for you. You've just got to kind of work within that bracket, haven't you?
Yeah. Should we go on to Hurt Conveyor?
Indeed, sir.
Yeah. I feel like this
one. I kind of like the catchiness of this, with the "I force my way."
Yeah, this is the one. That bit that you just sung is where one of the riffs from the instrumental Full Metal Contact. That's the riff under there. You know that where it's going. I can't do it. It's got that weird effect on it. But it came from that. Yeah. I think I might be remembering this wrong, but Full Metal Contact I think might have been for a game, or it might have been leftovers for a game, and they were like, well, we need to do something with these riffs. They're too cool. So they got reworked into some of these Digimortal songs.
Possibly there were quite a few games with Fear Factory songs on the original PlayStation. I seem to remember more than maybe what people remember. I'm sure Demolition Racer or Destruction Derby Raw had some Fear Factory. I know Carmageddon did. I mean, even talking about Dark Bodies, Invisible Wounds, I believe that was on the Resident Evil soundtrack for the film. Because it's in the I'm sure it's in the credits, because I remember getting excited, going like, oh my god, that's, and then before you know it, it's cut out. So like, okay, that's a small section of Fear Factory.
Yeah, better than nothing.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think the thing with Hurt Conveyor is it's definitely more of a groove in it. Without like
yeah, I do like the groove. It is a good song, actually. Like the more I think about it, I'm like, actually, I really like this song, and I think again the placement's good in there just before the ending, sort of coming back in with like a groovy one again. Something about it, it does feel a little bit more experimental again. That's why I said this song and the last one. It feels like they were doing something a bit different on these two tracks.
It feels probably. I think this for me is the unappreciated song of the album. I mean, I kind of like that submarine-ish sound they've got with that boom, boom. But just that bloody I force my way.
My
Like
favorite
that's a
bit
vibe
is
for me.
that like is right at the end where it's like crazy like breakdowny kind of riff. Is it? I think it might be pinch harmonics as well, or maybe it's just that bit's crazy. It's like not part of this world. That bit. Not.
At the very end
of this world. Yeah, and the riff's just going absolutely mental. I love that part.
it is an endurance test. Is this song, and that I appreciate that sort of thing. I like it. You know, consistency is key, but it's also really difficult sometimes. This particular song, I mean, God, I'd hate to have to mosh to it all the way through. My neck would be screwed. But I do think it is a bit underappreciated, and I think it's one of the shorter ones as well. Does it come in? Or maybe I'm losing my mind. Maybe
it's 3 minutes 40, shorter. So it's not the shortest, but yeah. There's one song. I don't know if
it's a good song.
I don't know if it's this one or the one before, but it like weirdly, there's a bit that really reminds me of Ascension of the Watchers, just the way it's being sung, and I'm like, oh, that's so weird because this is before like all of that. It's like all alone, unaware. Which song is that?
I'm gonna have to have a look at this really quickly. Was it 2005 they did the first Ascension of the Watchers?
I think there was like a demo that was even earlier. But weirdly, it actually reminds me of like Apocrypha, you know, like the latest album. It reminds me of that one, not the older stuff.
Yeah, it does say 2001, so you might be right in that particular respect. I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Burton had done quite a bit by this point anyway. I think I'm not sure if he were involved in Ministry as of yet, but he'd been involved in GZR, for example. And I remember he was saying that it was actually on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack as part of 3 different bands, and then there was City of Fire and stuff like that, weren't there? So
yeah.
This is the kind of sad thing about this album, isn't it? Because this was the last of the traditional lineup up until this point. One. You know, yeah, and to listen to it, I don't know what would have made them kind of drift apart in such a way. But I mean, you know, they've been together by 10 years at this point. Things bubble up, don't they? And arguments get blown out of proportion and so on and so forth. And I mean, we obviously don't know the half of the legal side of it and stuff, do we? So it's a shame. Like Memory Imprints, for example, if we were to touch upon the last song, it doesn't feel like a goodbye, and yet it kind of is, really, isn't it? Because, you know, after this, you've got 2 albums of No Dino, and then so far, what you're talking, Mechanized, Reindustrialized, Aggression Continuum, 3 albums of no Christian, no Raymond, and pretty much going forward, just Dino.
Yeah, that's it. It's a shame, really, but I guess it was just like, you see it a lot with bands, like, whether it's personal reasons or, like, you know, from a musical standpoint. I mean, you can already see it on this album that, like, oh, that's the Dino song, that's the Christian song. Oh, Burton didn't like that one. Like, you can see there's, like, probably the only neutral person's Raymond. Like, I'll just drum to whatever you want.
Yeah, fuck it. Well, I don't know whether it's true, but I believe Christian and Raymond were pretty good friends in general. So I mean, I can kind of understand that, having been in that situation myself. Like, 2 versus 2. How do you kind of push the band in the direction you want to go? Well, you've got to convince one of those other 2 to be sympathetic to your view, isn't it? And
yeah,
I
think with
it
drummers,
kind of seems that's.
I don't know if this is. It seems like quite a common occurrence with drummers that I feel like they're usually a bit more indifferent to like some of the songwriting and stuff. It's more about the actual parts. I think they see it in a bit of a different way. Maybe drummers' brains are like wired slightly differently, but I feel like if you're like, I'm playing some sick ass shit right now, they're not too bothered about the rest. Like, because even like Back the Fuck Up, you think about that from a drumming perspective, it's fucking nuts, like the double bass and stuff. So from his point of view, is like, is it that different? No, maybe not. So maybe he was a bit more flexible with what everyone wanted to do, kind of thing. I've always got that kind of vibe from him. He was kind of like he seemed a bit more neutral on stuff, really, and just kind of like going
path of least resistance.
Yeah, exactly. I've always got that kind of feeling. Whereas the others, it does seem like there was a bit of tension there with like what we're doing with the band here. And I feel like Dino could probably have some quite big regrets at this point of like, oh, I wish I just kept the band like in my name and stuff, because technically he kind of formed it. I mean, obviously they wouldn't really have got anywhere without Raymond and Burton, I don't think. But
I'm going to say him and Burton were the first.
It would have been a different thing, I reckon. They were all essential, but he sort of kind of had the vision, and I feel like it's not really great what happened, considering that I don't think this band would come to be without him, especially.
I think if he was to look back, like, anyone could have played bass for him, because literally that's all he wanted was a bassist who could play the riffs that he'd written, which followed the guitar essentially. And there's all different ways you can play bass. Sometimes you can just play the key and play a couple of bars. Sometimes you follow the guitar. Sometimes you do your own thing, but it complements the song. And that's not necessarily what Dino wanted. He, from what I gather, he just wanted someone who was like, right, this is the bass riff I've wrote, please learn it, and that's your thing to do. But then you get like, you start thinking to yourself, well, I want to be involved more, I want to do this, I want to do that. Sometimes it can start off being quite an attractive proposition to say, well, I'm part of something, and I'm happy with that. But then it's like, I want to do something now. You've written all these songs, I want to write a song, I want to do this. Certainly when Christian's main focus was guitar as well, and then all of a sudden there's that conflict of interest, isn't there, where it's like, well, I don't really want you writing a lot of music, because that's what I'm doing, that's my role within the band. And it's like, well, I'm just as good a guitarist, if that's the thought process. I don't know if that was the case, or maybe it was just a case of, well, why can't I write a few songs, and then creative differences.
Yeah, it would be hard, because I mean, there's a lot of musicians out there that you just give them the piece and they're perfectly happy to just go and play it. They don't want anything to do with songwriting. But yeah, if you're like, no, I really need to like get this creative energy out. Like, I feel like that personally. Like that, the most interesting thing to me is trying to like write music. So I would really struggle if someone's like, oh, we're not doing that, bin that, don't do. I'd hate it personally. I like to collaborate with someone in a way where it's like, which I have done a little bit, where you sort of, okay, we're going to drop that, but then I've got this part, and that's a fun process then. And if you're really married to a bit, then you'll find a way of keeping it in there. But when it's just like, I don't know, like when your interests are too different, it's kind of a weird one, isn't it, though? Because after Digimortal, like, just jumping ahead to Archetype, it's almost like that was very much in the vein of what Dino was doing anyway. So it's a shame that things couldn't have just gone that direction, and they just made like Archetype together in a way. I mean, imagine Fear Factory 2 guitarists. That would be awesome. You could do some like layering and stuff, and it could have Christian and Dino, and then find a new bassist. That would have been amazing.
Well, this is it. It just obviously it was the behind the closed door stuff, wasn't it? It is well documented, and a lot of people, they tell the story of what they saw, and it's pretty clear and evident in the music. But then I guess if you listen to Digimortal as a whole, I think the question is, where do we go from here? Do we go more towards Soul of a New Machine again? Do we revisit that angry, cold, metallic era of Demanufacture? Do we write another storied album and do something quite melodic like Obsolete? It's like, when
So
you've
many
made...
options. They open so many doors at that point. You could go any direction, really. But
Yeah.
we'll keep that for next episode, I guess.
And it's like you say, it's a great album. It really is a great album. Some songs that are absolutely timeless, but you kind of, if you were to listen to it now, knowing the history of the band and such, and that this was the last time you'd see the original lineup together again, you might be scratching your head like, well, what went wrong?
Yeah.
It was such a great album.
Yeah, definitely. Should we just touch on the last few tracks and call it a night?
Yeah, going to the top 5 after that if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll do that and then call it a night, I reckon. But yeah, Memory
Indeed.
Imprints. I actually love this song. I think it's one of the best songs on the album. It's quite a different approach for like a closing track. It's not quite as energetic as like your Resurrection and songs that came after it as well. But I really like it. I think it's got like a huge like atmosphere to it.
It's almost like a Therapy for Pain meets Expiration Date.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it's slower.
Yeah. To me, it sounds very like dream-like. Like sounds kind of dreamy. Like I always kind of like that vibe.
Especially with that sort of after the smoke clears.
Yeah, and the synths are just like amazing on it and stuff.
It is a good song. I think it does feel. It feels like an ending song, but at the same time, it's still somewhat upbeat, isn't it? It's like it's not as fast paced as some of the other songs, and I don't know if there's a great use of double bass in there. I may be wrong. There may be some instances, but
yeah, I don't think that's off memory, but
it does kind of. Yeah, I think that's the best way I'd describe it. It kind of feels like a Therapy for Pain with that do 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 sort of meets that Expiration Date sort of.
It's very slow, isn't it? The
know.
BPM compared to the rest of the album is much lower. It must be.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that you can kind of sway your head to like that. It's something that it's not something you go mad for in the pit or you'd be jumping up and down for. It's one you'd just be grooving to and going with it, isn't it?
I don't know if it's ever been played live. Now I think about it, maybe not.
I'm not sure,
I do like the ending vocals. I feel like he's like really flexing the voice there, like stars look down on me. And he's like really going.
Hey, that's the thing as well.
He really goes for it at the end, like, "Will there never be?" Yeah, it's so good.
I like how it's got that sort of quietish end as well. Like I like when they do that with certain songs and they do it effectively as well, because it kind of it dips for a few moments, doesn't it, and then comes back into the stars look down on me. Then very very quietly once again goes to that after the smoke clears.
Yeah,
and then I think it's like 2 minutes of sort of just nice, I don't know, ringing sounds, guitar sounds. It feels like an ending.
But at the same time,
like
that sort of atmospheric bit right at the end, really nice.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs like that on throughout the albums. I'm trying to think of the name of the song, but the one after Human Shields on Archetype is a bit the same. It's just kind of an ambience, isn't it?
Yeah. This song feels so different to the rest of the album, but yeah, it still kind of works because it's the closing track, I think. It's just
it's a good song.
Yeah, I like it.
Again, I know we've kind of said it between ourselves, but I don't think I could put this song anywhere else on the album. It feels perfectly placed where it is.
Yeah, definitely. If you happen to move on, Dead Man Walking. I mean, this is probably it's between this and Damage is my favorite. I think Damage wins just by a tiny bit, but I love this song so much. I can't believe it's a bonus track. I just can't. Really.
I can't believe any of them are. To be fair, I mean they're all really strong songs. I mean, I like it. It's one of the more songs I'd describe as being a bit raw, especially with that da-da-da-dun to start off with, da-da-da-dun, then into the double bass, catchy chorus.
Yeah.
I can see into the void.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, again, it kind of follows that formula that the album has been using to this point. Does it do anything new or unique? Probably not, but if you wanted more of the same, then, I mean, there you go. I'd be happy with that.
It's almost like it does remind me of Damaged a little bit and some of the other songs, but it's got the really catchy chorus as well. So I think that's what I like it so much, and it's also got the that kind of mechanical style delivery, like at the start, like all of you here that are secretly dead. Just like I just love this weird delivery, and then going from that into like the really catchy chorus, it just does it for me.
But I quite like the groove on the way out as well.
It's quite a simple song. It's only 3 minutes. It's to the point kind of thing, but I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah, it's a good song, especially like as it sort of comes to an end. It's
very groovy. Yeah. But yeah, happy to move on to Strain versus Resistance. Max's favourite.
Oh yes, I do think it's got a really good opening. This one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got some like really cool effects on the guitar there.
I do agree with the guys from New Breed. I do think this is a very, very underappreciated song. Like, it feels like it should have been on the album.
Yeah, can't argue with that. It's a banger.
I think the clean sections as well are they pace it out quite nicely.
Like the guitars are like not, they kind of cut out a bit, don't they, in some of those verses, if I remember right.
Yeah,
they're still there. They're just doing the odd chug rather than full on or not there at all. They're kind of like it's hard to remember now, but I'm sure it's not. They leave a lot of space. They leave a lot of space for the vocals to come through, if I remember right.
The really annoying thing is, as well, it reminds me of a song off Transgression, and I can't think of which one it is. When we get to it, I imagine I'll probably go, oh, remember what...
Yeah.
You know, it'll come back to me, but yeah, it's a good song. I could listen to that on the main album. It's probably one of the bonus tracks I come back to the most, this one.
Yeah, for sure. It's a strong song. Again, it's only this one's only like 3 and a bit minutes. It's just they're short and sweet. And then Repentance is the next one. This one's even shorter. This one's 2 minutes 40, which I think puts it as the shortest song, apart from Full Metal Contact. I think that might be Full Metal Contact's 2.5, so it's second shortest.
I think this kind of reminds me of Transgression, because I find Transgression uses a lot of quite simple riffs. like really quite simple riffs or riffs that feel quite I don't want to say common and misrepresent what I'm trying to say. I just feel like it's the kind of thing that you might just come up with when you're doodling. You know, the da 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 da. It works. It's effective. It's simplistic, but it reminds me of like a couple of the tracks on. There is one on Transgression that is very similar to it, and it's driving me up the wall trying to think of. Da, 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 da.
Oh yeah.
So I can yeah.
So I can't think of the song title, but I know the one you mean.
I can draw a few parallels. You know, it's not a direct comparison. I just feel like they kind of have a similar formula, sound similar-ish. You know, if you were to listen to them quite loosely. It doesn't overstay its welcome, this song, but it kind of feels like it finishes just as it were going, which is a bit frustrating. I think if it's like a minute longer.
I do like this one. I think compared to the other two bonus tracks we just mentioned, I think this one does feel like more of a bonus track. Probably because it's short and stuff, and it just feels like a bit of fun. And they were like, "Oh, we'll just add that one on," kind of thing. So this one, I could say, that's the bonus track. But the two before, 100% should have been in the album without question, I think.
I mean, the clear vocal sections are quite nice on this. It feels like it needed fleshing out a little bit more. You know, I'm not saying it should have been like 5-6 minutes long, but if you can add a meaningful extra 60 seconds of music to this one, I think it could have been a very strong track.
Yeah, for sure. And then Full Metal Contact is just the instrumental, which is really good. I like it, but like I said, not a lot, but some of those riffs are integrated into the main songs anyway. So, yeah.
See, I like a good instrumental, and it frustrates me sometimes that you don't hear more of it. Like, I really quite like is it Full Metal Contact on Mechanize?
No, this one's this one's Full Metal Contact. You're thinking of
sorry, that's because I'm reading as I'm thinking.
You're thinking of Metallic Division, right?
Yeah, you know, small, simple but effective. You know, I really like it. I don't know why.
Mechanize is like industrial as fuck, isn't it? It's got like the oh my god, we can't think of words today, can we? The anvil. It's got the anvil. Hammer and anvil sound.
I always thought of it as like an empty beer barrel that's being hit with a baseball bat purely because of Slipknot.
Slipknot style, yeah.
But you are right that. And then ding.
I remember
it's almost comedic to listen to it, but I like it.
Yeah, I think I remember C-Bomb said he would if he could make a set list up, he'd get them to open with that. Like, I think that was actually a sick idea. Like, at first I was like, I don't know about that, but now I think, but actually here's another idea. What about if they just did it as playback, like when they're coming on the stage? I think that'd be awesome. Like, the lights are still kind of like, they're just flashing a bit before we get into the actual main song. Or here's another idea: why don't they just do that as an encore going into Final Exit? Because that's how it is on the album. That would be even sicker.
Well, yeah.
That could be that they could play that whilst they're coming back on stage to do the encore of Final Exit. That could be amazing.
I like that. I like I said, I'm a sucker for a good instrumental. Like I quite like them when they break up albums and stuff like that. Another good example I can think of, not quite Fear Factory, is Static X. There's a song that's like maybe 2-3 minutes at the most, just before the final track on Shadow Zone. There's a song called So, and then it's got like this almost staticky sound of like and it comes into this da-da-dum, bum, bum, da-da-da. And it's I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a nice little thing like that can really bridge two great songs together.
Yeah.
So the fact that this one didn't make it onto the album almost feels a bit disappointing, because you feel like it could have been a bridge between two songs.
Yeah, but then again, if you notice the well, I guess they probably either thought we can do that or we can integrate the riffs, and that's what they did. I guess was they integrated them instead. So that's probably why it ended up being at the end there, I guess.
I mean, it didn't go to waste, so that's one thing that you can be thankful for, I suppose, if you like it by itself. But
Yeah,
had it been included as a bridge song between something like, I don't know, No One to Linchpin or something like that, then I'd have been quite happy with that to be on the standard edition. But yeah, I quite like it. It's difficult to say a lot about it because there's no lyrics. You don't quite know the themes of it. It's just a great little instrumental that I really don't mind listening to.
Yeah. There we go.
Which begs the question, Mr. Henry, sir.
Yeah.
What are your top 5 songs?
I'm just thinking about it right now. I forgot to write this down before. I think I know what they are. I'm just ordering it.
Would we include bonus tracks?
I think we should. What do you think?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's do it. Normally it wouldn't matter because then normally the bonus tracks wouldn't probably make it on most of the albums, but this one and Transgression, I guess, would be the exception. But
I mean, My Grave is such an incredible song. I'm hoping that when this next album comes out, it's on there. Like, because I know it's a song that Dino kind of said, like, why the fuck was that not on the main album? That was a pretty good song. Like, if I'm gonna be completely fair and honest about something, My Grave was a decent tune. You guys fucked up. You should have put that on the main thing. I agree.
Yeah. It's mainly a debate of what would be my 5th one. Because I think the top 4 are pretty locked in looking at this.
Well, I think the 5th one for me is probably Strain versus Resistance.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I respect it. I do think it's a good song. I think it would be...
respect my authority.
That one's probably like around the middle for me out of all the tracks, I reckon. Doesn't quite make the top 5.
If we weren't going to include the bonus tracks, then it probably would have been Damage Format.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I love Damage, man. But I think 5th is going to be... It's probably either... Oh my god, this is really tricky. It's either What Will Become or Invisible Wounds.
I had that 4th. What Will Become, I had that 4th.
I do like Invisible Wounds a lot, but I think I'll go with What Will Become. It's just too much of a rager, isn't it? Then I think our 4th, I'll probably go Memory Imprints, which maybe is an unusual take. I don't know, but I just really like that song.
I'd have put that 3rd personally.
Oh, so really? You have it quite high. Oh, I'm surprised you had that.
Yeah,
quite high, yeah.
I really do quite like it. So I'd go Strain versus Resistance. Then I'd go What Will Become, Memory Imprints, and then it's definitely Invisible Wounds, Linchpin.
Yeah.
Like, Invisible Wounds is just such a great fucking song. It's not quite Linchpin, but it's a great song.
Yeah, I do feel like I want that on there, but I can't because I like Dead Man Walking too much. I've got that as... Oh, sorry, no, Linchpin is... Wait, Linchpin I've got in 3rd place. Then I've got Dead Man Walking 2nd, and then Damaged 1st.
Oh, interesting.
I think I've got a bit of a weird list. I think yours is a bit more normal, minus the bonus track, probably.
A bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
a bit new metal.
Yeah. But as usual, if anyone made it this far, let us know your top 5, because it's always interesting. And actually, I think this is quite a good one, because if you include the bonus tracks, there's so many songs, right? 15 songs, so picking a top 5 from that could come out quite differently for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, and I think it is. I don't want to say divisive in the respect of it. It splits a fan base, but I think it's divisive in the fact that fans will inevitably like a lot of different songs. Like I say, I really like Strain versus Resistance. I know the guys at New Breed really like that as well. A lot of people probably don't appreciate that one
Mm.
as much. Like you say, they may prefer Damaged or Acres of Skin or something like that. I think it goes back to that idea of when, like, again, I don't know if this is true. It's just something I seem to remember reading on the internet, but there was the idea that when they'd finished recording all the songs, they struggled to put them in some sort of order. Like, it was pretty clear that they were going to end with the track that they did, the Memory Imprints,
Mm.
but it was like, what's our opening track? Which are we
Yeah.
going to do in order after that? And I feel like it's going to be the same for a lot of people because they're all really good songs. Like, for me, the album itself is a really good B plus. You know, if you were going sort of D to A, with A plus being the highest you can give it.
Are you talking in the
It's
context of
just,
like their music, like their catalogue? You mean?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely not the best. It's definitely not the worst. It is a really good album, but I struggle. If I were to rank all these songs together, there's not many that I put outside of that B range. If you had say a B plus, if you had say a B minus, if
Yeah.
you had say just a B, but they're all there or thereabouts. So it's like, how do you differentiate between those songs? Which ones would you say were the more creative, the better ones? Do you go off the reception of the song or the success of it? Or, it's quite a difficult album really to give a top
Yeah.
five to, I think. And you're right in what you're saying when there's 15 tracks and 4 really strong bonus tracks.
Mm.
How do you choose? It feels like an impossible decision.
It does, yeah. No, I think my final thoughts on the album are that it does a lot of different things, and I think it might not satisfy. Say you're a fan of like the really heavy stuff, it might not perfectly satisfy that. Say you're a fan of like really melodic stuff, maybe you don't really listen to much heavy stuff, it might not fully satisfy that either. But what it does is a lot of like all of that. So it's bringing in people from completely different audiences, and they'll probably all find someone they'll like in it, which at the end of the day was probably the goal of the album in a way. Try and keep your older fans happy, but also bring in some new fans, and I think that's what it did. I mean, like I said, Linchpin's the biggest. Well, it's the most streamed song, and I think this album sold even more than Demanufacture, which is crazy. So it definitely brought in some new fans, and you can't really argue with that. I think that I think everyone thought they were going to explode even more than they did, but I think this album did set out what it was supposed to do, whether people liked it or not, kind of thing.
Well, the record label were pushing for platinum, weren't they? They were like, we're not happy with Obsolete being gold. We want platinum. That's what we need out of you next. And expectations can be a difficult thing to manage. I would still love to hear, and I don't know if anyone's got them. I don't know if they even exist anymore. But I would love to hear the demos for this album just to get a feel of what it was originally conceived to be. Yeah, drop the tape, release the files.
When we get them on here, we'll press them for it. All right.
On rarefactory.com. Yeah. No,
they're out
it's a
there
great
somewhere.
album.
I know they exist. I'm convinced they exist. Whether they can be
they
released
are real.
like legally by Dino, I don't know, because
going to be the focus of the next episode of X-Files.
Yeah. There's probably some complications there. I think there's a reason they didn't come out with this recent 25-year anniversary, because we were speculating that it could be like a whole separate disc potentially, but I don't know. I think they might be locked down by some record company or something.
Well, I mean, I know there was the whole thing in Australia, weren't there, where the guys from that part of the world were saying they'd had issues with getting a hold of the vinyl. Some people had been promised the vinyl or even reserved the vinyl, and then they were going to pick them up and being told, I'm sorry, but we don't, whether it was just a pathetic excuse that they had a chance to sell it like straight away, because I get it, in a world of physical media now, if I said to someone, I'm going to spend 80 quid on this game, and they're like, all right, then I'll order a copy in, and I'm not in the shop by, say, 12 o'clock, but there's someone in at 10 o'clock wanting to buy it, it's like, well, you've got a guaranteed sale, or do you hold out for that guy? So, you know, playing devil's advocate a bit, I don't think it's right to promise someone that you'll do something and not see it through.
Yeah.
I think it's hard if there's not like a proper pre-order system where maybe you put a deposit down or something like that, or, you know, if there was a genuine logistical reason, like, look, I'm not being funny, you know, there was only, let's say, 10,000 copies of this made. I did ask for some copies. Unfortunately, I've not been given any. I'm really sorry. You know, here's your deposit back. I kind of get that. But at the same time, you know, this album is that period of time where I still hadn't quite got the internet yet. So I didn't have Google. I didn't have, you know, all my exposure to music was through like Kerrang, the odd magazine that I might have been lucky enough to afford because they were like £7-8 a piece and they weren't cheap. I mean, even if they came with CDs, that wasn't the reason, you know, we went for them. It was just difficult. And then to think that when I picked up the next album, Archetype, and you're like, something's a bit different here, something's a bit amiss. You start looking through the book and you're like, where's Dino? You know, it's a bit heartbreaking in a way, because then you look back at Digimortal and it's almost tainted a little bit, because you think that was the last album of all the guys together.
Yeah.
But you kind of think to yourself that had they been together knowing that that was the end, like, would they have done things a little bit differently to say, like, you know, if it's going to be a final goodbye, it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, true. But it's
we're
just
not just
like
going to aim to please the publisher.
That moment, you're probably not thinking that way, kind of thing, I suppose. So, I imagine when it got to that point, the whole album was probably written and released and everything. So you don't know until it happens, I suppose.
This is it, like you say, things have been bubbling up in the background at this point, haven't there? There's been legal issues galore, there's been disagreements, there's been different ideas, creative differences, business issues. You know, when you've been doing that for 10 years, at what point do you start pulling your hair out and go, I can't fucking do this anymore?
Yeah.
But then, you know, you've got Dino, he's had many successful projects, like, is it pronounced Brujeria? Brujeria?
You know, Brujeria, maybe.
Yeah, spent a bit of time with Soulfly. Asesino, really like that music, even if it is in Spanish, I still fucking love it. Itu Mama Tambien is a great song. Divine Heresy, I absolutely love those two albums.
I need to have a proper listen on them. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't listened, but I think I have, but it was a while ago. I need to get into it properly.
I'm trying to think of the song, but Dino plays a solo on one of the songs, and it's just absolutely brilliant. I think it might be is it Impossible Is Nothing? Because there's a video that's still up. I think it's Tim Young who was the drummer on the album, and I just remember he's going, it's like a really good gallop, and then just Dino goes, and I'm like,
gotta check it out.
He can shred, you know. Not like you needed any evidence, but it's such a great solo, and it's just what you're used to.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is a bit of a precursor to the next episode. I think what Dino should, well, I think he does know this, and maybe at the time it was too hard to think that way, but you got to imagine Archetype would not exist without his guitar playing anyway. I know Christian put his own spin on things, but there's absolutely no way an album like that does not come along without everything that came before it that, you know, he came up with. So
no, it's
I
very
definitely
derivative.
Know they went in a different direction and they put their own spin on things that he wouldn't have done personally. But the fundamental, you know, riffing and everything locked in with the drums and like, it wouldn't really have sounded anything. I mean, it wouldn't have came to be without what came before. So that's something to be proud of, isn't it? And I think that's one of the reasons those songs are still in the set. A couple of those songs are still in the set because he recognizes that now. I mean, it's got to be easier now after like 20 years has passed. I'm sure at the time it was just like shit time.
Yeah.
And
whilst you'll still have that vocal fan base who seem to believe that Fear Factory don't exist anymore because there's a new vocalist, you know, there's certain things that you have to accept, and I think you're absolutely right. You know, Archetype was a good album, even if it did kind of feel like it was missing Dino a bit. Like, to me, it always felt like it was missing something until I read the book, because like I say, it was the time where, I mean, I only really started getting like internet properly. My mum and dad could only really afford it when I was sort of leaving high school. So you're talking 2006. It had already been out for 2 years by that point, and you'd had Transgression as well. So I didn't really have the ability to go online and start searching things. I mean, they were in school and stuff like that, but I want to say better things to do. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I just mean like I was a kid. I wanted to play and fuck around and spend time with my mates. I wasn't going to be researching music and stuff like that. But yeah, it's bittersweet in a way. But at the same time, you know, if you're going to go out on an album, I don't think you could do much worse than that.
No, definitely not. Anyway, that's a good place to leave it, I reckon, for next time. But I'm looking forward to getting to Archetype because I think I like it a lot more than you. Is the impression I've got when we were texting about it. So I think it's going to be a bit more of a spicy episode.
Then it's the divisive one.
Yeah.
The naughty word.
What's funny is though, I think we're more on board with Transgression potentially, because I think we've talked about that one a lot, like just on texting and stuff. So that one might actually be less divisive, but I don't know. Either way, I'm excited for these next two because I feel like they're kind of like the black sheep albums, aren't they, in a way?
Yeah, and hopefully we don't leave it as long. I know we've had a bit of a gap this time round, but life is life, isn't it? You know.
I know so many things have happened since that last episode. It's like unbelievable. It's just like crazy. Like, yeah. Sounds like for both of us.
Tell me about it.
Not just one of us. Like, we're both like, "Are you free?" And then it's like, "Yeah." And then it's like, "Oh no, this has come up." And it's just what happens, isn't it? Life gets in the way sometimes. So,
yeah. But anyway, Archetype.
We'll see you next time for Archetype.